Hi everyone. Good morning to you all. Hope you're all doing well today. Sort this out real quick. Interesting chat last night. Got into all kinds of topics. Started talking about pyramids, started talking about all sorts of stuff really. UFOs. But apparently they're called UAPs now, so it's like they changed the name of them. So that stands for unidentified anomalous phenomena or something. But yeah, so yes, that was something I was looking at last night. There was somebody like talking about some video of some footage, and it seemed pretty compelling, but like there were some people that dispute it, so there's always going to be that. So yeah, people having their counter arguments and stuff, so try to keep an open mind. But yeah, I don't know, there don't seem to have been any like definitive proof, but oftentimes, you know, how are you supposed to get proof of a lot of things really? Because sometimes things just kind of appear and there's no explanation for it, but yeah, but there's no way to prove what it is. Thank you for the like, whoever that is. How are you today? So yeah, really been enjoying these conversations. Hello, Vania Salami. How you doing? Hope you're well today. Hello, Singer Voice. No, I'm British. Yeah. I don't know why people think I'm American or something. I guess, I don't know. Where are you from? Singer Voice, what's your name? Nice to meet you all. Hope you're all having a good day so far. Hello, Delboy. No, I'm not from the US, I'm from the UK. There's a second person asking me if I'm American. What's going on here? Thank you for the like. So, yeah, so I was looking into some stuff last night on things like pyramids and all sorts of stuff, so it was quite interesting to, yeah, hello, Adosh. You again. I'm back. But I tend to be quite skeptical of things really nowadays. It's like, unless I can see it myself, then I'm like, I don't know. A lot of stuff can be faked and, you know what I mean? So I try to sort of, I try to keep an open mind, but be skeptical. Hello, Susie. Good to see you again. Hello, John Pork. No, I'm English, British. Hello, Art Boy. How you doing? Wave but like hi. Anyway, hit the like button, guys. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm British accent. Water. If I was American, I'd say water. Oh, really? Water. That's American. Hello, Caesar Cueto. What do you think about Greenlandians? I don't know anything about Greenlandians. Hello, Frico. Hello, Mr. Twinkle X. No, I've never had a man. G'day, Craig. And yeah, Boy says, what's your hobby? Well, this has been one of my hobbies. Watch. Hello, John Pork. Hello, Rand Colton. If you were American, you'd say, save me from this dystopian nightmare. Like Quagmire. Giggity, giggity. Hi, Pastor Semper. Can we do a movie club where we all talk about Harry Potter and talk about maybe one day? Hello, Pregozorio. How you doing? No, it's not a tune-in fork. It's a mouth harp. Hello Ryan, how are you doing today? Hit that like button, guys. Got 18 people in here, one like. Hello Floyd, how you doing? What's the emergency? Malfoy impression. I can't do any Harry Potter impressions, unfortunately. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, so hello, Sir John-a-lot. The decay and rearrangement of these immense magnetic fields generate powerful flares and burst high energy light. They are associated with events like soft gamma repeaters, SGRs, and anomalous X-ray pulsars. What are you saying there? Hi, Bryce. We've got Cinescope. No, I'm straight. John Pot says, what's the instrument? It's a mouth harp. Ryan says, I met the guy that invented window shows the other weather ledge. Oh yeah, that's a proper dad joke, isn't it? Yeah. I thought all English people were Harry Potter fans now. Not everybody. Yeah. Hello, Last Start Technology says, are you gonna have 10 people? What's that? No, I can see your comment. What are you saying? What are you on about? Hello. Oh, here we go. Ryan says other day. Whoops. What's that? I'm getting confused now. I don't know. What are you on about? Other two, mate. What are you on about? It's like you guys are just like, I don't know, you're trying to just mess with me right now. I don't know what's going on. Bryce says people are so really, yeah, it's just get a lot of trolls, you know. But that's what's happened. We've been getting more views and it's been attracting more trolls. So it is what it is. You gotta take the rough with the smooth, they're saying it. So, yeah, Susie, are you still there? Hello, Ranjan Moldak. I think so. Possibly. No, I'm not saying your name. Because I know what it's going to be. It's a fake name. It's not real, is it? Hello, Mr. Twinkle X. I'll take the... What you said? Take the rough any day from you. Oh, God. What is going on here? Susie's still there. Hello, G-Man. How you doing? Oh, goodness. I don't even know what to say, guys. What the hell is going on here? This is just an absolute, yeah, chaos already. Yeah. I don't know. Hello, Mr. Keeps on Ticking. You got a break. What do you mean, you got to a break? What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. I cooked your chat, sorry. Yeah, it'll be well done soon, won't it? I mean, it'll be... Anyway, Mama Hub, how's it going? Hope you're well. What's your name? Welcome to my live. Have we got like a serious person in the chat right now then? Seems like most of my chat is just not serious and they're just kind of... Hello, Jasmine. How you doing? Good to see you again. Charles must be killing time until Mum makes their dinner, probably. But then why are they not at school or something? I don't know. Are the older ones bunking off school or something? Chuan, Ali, how you doing? I look the deep from what I don't know who that is. What's this? I make my own. What the hell? What is going on? Hello, Raman Hassan. How you doing? Hope you're well today. Crazy camera. Hello. How you doing? Thank you for the likes, everybody. You're a big fan. That's so great. I love my fans. They're so great. I love all my MAGA fans. They're so tremendous. Hello, Abdul. No, I haven't. I had fun. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing? Hope all is well. Bryce says nothing. Yeah. Yeah, we all right, people? If anyone's new here, make sure you subscribe. What's bollocks? What are you on about? Morning, Mr. Trump. Morning, Susie! That Royce. You mean voice? Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. Hi, Inez Henson from the Philippines. How are you today? Welcome in. We're getting people from all over the world. Happy birthday to you, Lee Partridge. Is that for real, or you just... I don't know. Seems like it's everybody's birthday, like, every day or something. There were Jehovah's Witnesses, and then some dudes started worshipping Satan. Oh yeah, hi Tara, good to see you. How are you doing? Hello, healthy me. How you doing? Oh, happy birthday, Lee. Is that for real then, or something? Yeah, yeah. Wait, what do you mean? It's your... What is going on? Okay. Well, hello, Parakew. No. Okay. Why do they keep saying the same things? They're all just bots. Like, it's like you're all bots. That's what like Andrew Tate would be, wouldn't he? Be like, you're all part of the Matrix. I'm all right, thank you. It's just a bit of a just gone crazy already. You know, it's live chat. You know, it's just oh goodness. Anyway, if anyone's new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I don't know, but yeah, we were talking about all sorts of stuff last night: aliens, friggin' UFOs, all sorts. Godzilla. What color is your Bugatti? The price of a Bugatti is like a drop in the ocean compared to the amount of money that I have in my bank account. Oh, goodness. This live chat. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. Good, did I miss the stream last night? Oh, yeah. Are you into that kind of stuff? We're talking about pyramids and, you know, why was it built and stuff like that. And I mean, people have been uncovering pyramids all over the world and stuff. And what is it all about? Why do they have a similar kind of shape to them and things like that? Hello, Stephen. How you doing? Oh yeah, I keep getting that Charlie Kirk thing. Hello, Ben Jones. What's it matter? I don't know about why you're so interested. I know, it's just getting ridiculous. It's just like, I don't know. They always have to try and bring up some celebrity or something like, oh, you look like such a person. You look like Harry Kane or whatever. I mean, I haven't heard that one for a bit actually, but people used to always say Harry Kane. What do I think about Charlie Kirk? I mean, it was quite divisive, and I don't know, it seemed like maybe he was a bit provocative, but I still don't think it was right what happened to him, but yeah. I don't know. Okay, for real, my theory is the pyramids were subtractive manufactured from lump of mud, stone, etc. Copyright me. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm not too bad, thank you. How you doing? I remember someone was saying that they were like a casting, like that was one of the theories for it. So you might be onto something there, but the mud theory or something like that. They were built from some cast or something. And that's how they made the stones or something like that. And they would like dry and they would set kind of like like a cast. Hello, Luke. Is there a pattern in terms of the location of the pyramids according to you? Did I just see you on some live? I don't know. I've heard about some sacred geometrical patterns or something, so that's interesting. And like, what is that all about? Why does it have to have some kind of, like fractal pattern or something? Okay, I don't need that, do I, Can you just like, fuck off? People talk about fucking hairlines, fuck off. I don't need fucking bullshit, like, you're on about. Because it is a pyramid, what's that? What are we on about? Just fuck off with your fucking negative bullshit, you know? It's like when I've had comments before saying, "Oh, maybe you should take such a thing for your skin." It's like, nah. If I wanted to do that, I would do it, right? So why don't they just kind of do one? I mean, but it's just rude. And why would you even say that? Healthy me? Are you just as bad as them or something? I mean, hello AI. It's just not very, it's just rude. Why would people ask about fucking finasteride and shit like that? It's just like, it's nothing to fucking do with them, is it really? You know what I mean? If anyone wants to learn about pyramids and world landmarks of worship being built on a geometric grid, there's a good video by Spirit Science on it. Oh, really? I have to check that out or something, but I don't know. I mean, yeah. Hello, President Frucha. Okay, now this chat is just like, Luke says all the pyramids in the world might correspond with each other and build an energy grid. Yeah, that's interesting. Because like, some people were saying that why do they have the same shape? Some people were saying that it's just the most, kind of efficient way to build a structure or something. But yeah, but why are they all over the world? It's like, what was the purpose of that? Similar kind of things like all over the world. I don't know, but yeah, maybe there's some kind of like a grid like you're saying. I don't know. It's hard to really figure these things out. But have you heard of the Bosnian pyramid? Some people were saying that that's a pyramid, but then some are saying, well, it's not really. It's just a natural formation, kind of like the Antarctic pyramids. People were saying that those are pyramids, but some are saying that they're just a kind of natural phenomenon. So if you type in Antarctica pyramids, hello Kiyoshi, how you doing? Hope you're well today. What's this about Einstein theory of relativity? Yeah. I mean, we don't know because it's like new theories come out all the time that dispute old ones. So looking at, they've got Antarctic, that's like people are saying that they're pyramids, but then some are saying, oh, it's just from it's a glacial formation or something like that. But they do look very like uncannily like pyramids, basically. It's definitely a bit weird. The pyramid stuff makes you wonder. So what is your thoughts on it all then? What is your theory on that stuff? AI, thanks. What's this? Hello, Poopy Pies. The Mayan structures fit on the grid as well. Really? I've seen about the Mayan pyramids. I've also seen Nubian pyramids. There's pyramids basically on every continent pretty much, isn't there? Hello, Christine Grant. Hi, Kiss and Sonny, how you doing? Sorry, you said a question. Hello, Enrique. Sorry, sometimes I miss what people are saying. Your beautiful, positive vibes from Germany. Thank you. So what is your thing, Irene? How's it going? Hope you're well today. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Hello, message. How are you doing today? Rush Lock. How you doing? Hello, Taylor Swift. Instead of Taylor Swift. Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen a thing called Chocolate Hills in the Philippines? They kind of look like pyramids or something. They look kind of, it's an interesting phenomenon, but yeah. What's that? I'm not German, I'm English. I cash joy. Floyd says, how you all been today? Not too bad, thank you. How about you? I hope you're all having a good day so far. So has anyone seen the Chocolate Hills? They kind of almost look like pyramids as well. There's loads of them. This is in the Philippines. There's probably dozens of them. Yeah, they're everywhere. And over there it's yeah. Yeah, so I wonder how that's been formed. Let's see what they say about that actually, about the, how did they form? So I'm not really sure, but I've watched documentaries about theories on how they were built, and it's interesting. Yeah, yeah. Well, some people suggest it's some kind of. Well, I was looking into something like on pulleys and stuff like that, and using a pulley system to to transport the stones and things. I mean, I don't know what you think. Is that kind of a plausible theory then, or anyway? Not 21 people in a house. How you doing? There are no straight lines in nature. Well, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's true. There is no straight lines in nature. It's yeah. Enrique, how you doing? I can be your hero, baby. Remember that Enrique Iglesias or whatever. That yeah, oh good. No, F the pulleys. All right. My theory is strongest. Well, that's your opinion. John Wick says, "Have you seen the pyramids in China?" No, I don't think so. But I've seen other ones. China pyramids. Well, I'll talk about this chocolate hills. There might not be pyramids though, but what's this? China pyramids. Let's have a look. Oh wow. All right, let's have a look. Yeah, China pyramids, eh? Yeah, obviously there's no way they're naturally formed, are they? Have you heard of the chosen one? Can you tell me about it? And about chosen ones, as in like some people believe that they are chosen, whether that's by God or whether that's by just the universe or whatever you believe in to do something particular or something. Hello, Ken Lud Mama. How you doing? Hope you're well today. All right. What's this? Stunner dog. I don't know how you pronounce it. I look like Mickey Mouse. Yeah, yeah. Look just like him. Yeah. Oh, so 25 people in here. Oh well. That's what I hated. So I hear what you're saying. What are you on about? I'm just gonna have to get rid of this troll person. It's just getting ridiculous. Yeah, here we go again. Charlie Kirk again. Okay, whatever. Anyway, we're just trying to have a serious conversation here, so if you don't mind. So yeah, I've heard of the Mayan pyramids and I've heard the Nubian pyramids. Isn't there some in Russia as well? Russia pyramids or something. Let's have a look at that as well. Yeah, apparently what's this? Famous Moscow pyramid destroyed by storm. What the fuck? Yeah. Anyway. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna have to get rid of this. Yeah, so these stupid names and stuff. What do you think about Elon Musk? I was talking about this last night and I was arguing with someone in the chat last night because someone was going on about, we were talking about how, these billionaires and how they can be corrupt and how they can, how they have so much power. And I would say they have more power than the state because when you have that much money, you're basically, you are more powerful than the state, basically. You can lobby, you can basically, hello, Matt Torrance, how you doing? So, but they were trying to I don't know, it seemed like they were just trying to antagonize and just try and be a contrarian and, Elon buying Twitter was good, you think so? But then Twitter got this thing called Blue Sky or something now, and as in like the original owner, and apparently it's like a really woke kind of social media app, and I've heard it's not really, well, some saying it's not really been doing that well or something, but it's basically like a woke echo chamber from what I hear, and they don't allow, it hates speech, or they'll call it, or some kind of, we don't allow bigoted, whatever, it's like, you know what I mean? Hello, WWE squad, not for the profitability of the website. Well, yeah, because it's obviously a lot of people have left the site because a lot of these people that were active on there, like these woke kind of, you could call them woke. I mean, I know it's a bit of an overused word, but you know what I mean. Doreen says, "Hey Jimmy, hope you're doing well." Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How you doing? What is good about him? I don't know. I don't really like Elon Musk, to be honest. Like I said, it's like, why does he have to keep on taking all these, grants and stuff? I was saying, he doesn't have to do that. Why does he need more money? I just think it gets to a point where it becomes greed. That's what I was saying. You know, I'm just saying that he could bribe the government and be like, oh yeah, we'll give you, say, so much money if you will, like, sort of like do this for us or something. It's like that once you've got a certain level of money and power, you can pretty much, like, you can buy governments, essentially. You can buy influence, and people don't think that is possible. It's like, well, you can actually be more powerful than a lot of these governments. Like, it's like how they can lobby and get things, either bring new laws in or try to scrap a law that would basically have. Andrew Tate, what color is your Bugatti? Where's my sunglasses? Where did I put them? There they are. Here we go with the Tate impression. I work 25 hours a day, 8 days per week. And all these people complaining that they're working too hard. I probably work twice, 3 times as much as those people. Hey, I love talking about religion. So what's your take on religion then, Brandon? XD, can we speak English in here or something? Yeah, especially in poor countries, you can very easily. Yeah, well, even some richer countries, I mean, it's haven't, like, government's been, found out to have been, being lobbied before and taking bribes from corporations and stuff like that. There's a lot of shady stuff that goes on in these higher ups. Now, I don't know. You could say that in some cases there's some compromise on both sides, but I don't know. But my point is that these corporations are way too powerful, and yeah, they can, buy governments and stuff, and it's really wrong. It's really bad, and yeah, But anyway, so let's talk about world poverty. Do you think that's something we can ever solve anytime soon, at least? Anyway, what are your thoughts on that? How would we go about doing that? Because that seems to be a problem of that's still going on, and a lot of people struggling with food insecurity and even clean water and stuff like that. So Elon could give a lot of his money away to some random person. Yeah, maybe they could help solve world poverty. I don't know, but would that work though? Well, they would need people to start, kind of putting in infrastructure in Africa, for example, where they could actually start, Man, I believe in manifesting, not in religion. I mean, I have successfully been able to debunk Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, Sikhism. Sam Schumann, he's a close one of mine. Oh, really? So what is it then? You didn't mention Christianity or something. You said not in religion, so you didn't mention that you debunk Christianity or something. Hello, Nazli. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well today. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. That would be really appreciated. I'm live every single day. Could we solve it? Theoretically, yes. Will it ever be sold? Absolutely not. Is it because of like greedy corporations? You're saying that would stop it? Erin, hello. What do I think about the Antichrist? Well, I don't really believe in that kind of stuff. I'm taken by myself. I have a relationship with myself. I don't need to, have a relationship with anybody else. I don't think it's ever going to be solved because there's too much greed. Yeah, it's a real shame that, it's just, but the thing is, right, it's like I said, it's like these people who these elites who, you know what I mean? But it's like they're the ones that, taking most of the, benefits that you could argue from the system. And they're the ones actually, you could argue, depriving the, poorest of people of, you could argue they're the biggest scroungers of society. They're the biggest greedy, you know what I mean? the richest of people, but yet oftentimes they don't get so much of like scrutiny for doing that. But yet how you doing, everybody? Hope you're all well. But yet people who are just taking like a bit of money out of the system just for like their essentials, like but yet people will shame them for that. But oh, you should be, you shouldn't be doing that. That's wrong or something. But yet billionaires are, they're oftentimes avoiding paying taxes. They're in some cases even getting things like tax returns, which is kind of like a form of benefit. So like, I mean, why is that, okay then? Because it's legal? I mean, I don't know. It's all a bit of or some might say, oh well, they're contributing to society or some shit. Well, I would argue in some ways they're actually taking away from society by being so greedy. And because once you get to what I've realized is that once you get to a certain level of power and money and stuff like that, you start to have to step on other people's toes to get that. You start to have to like deprive somebody else of their success, because like I said, these people probably could solve a lot of this stuff if they really wanted to, but they would rather keep it all for themselves. I remember seeing the news about how they'd put the homeless into hotels to get them off the street when events were taking place at Buckingham Palace. Then when it was over, they threw them out. All right. Okay. That's not good, is it? The rich get richer, so it goes. Yeah. How are you doing, Roxanne? Bonnie, how's it going? And we got Brandon. So what's Brandon saying? What's this? Practitioner, I don't know. It's like I've met Alex too, and we talked about it. We hear Jesus helps some struggling with cancer, but not other Christians. Like, why? I don't understand. Yeah, that's the thing. Why is it that God answers some people's prayers, but not others? But then some people are saying that that some miracle happened for them without even praying. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just, is there some kind of magical God out there that is answering your prayers, or is it just that might have been a coincidence that happened? And I mean, I'm not trying to say it to completely discount what they're saying, but it's just, I like to keep an open mind and stuff. It's just, but there's a lot of inconsistencies and things that I don't understand, but then they'll just say, oh, well, you just don't understand it. And it's, anyway, how you doing, Manny? You become corrupt is what you become. Give a man power and watch him change for the worst. The question is, did they become corrupt after power, or were they already corrupt to begin with, and the seek to have power is corrupt, basically? Like, anyone that wants power, you would argue, is already corrupt. I don't know what your thoughts on that, because I remember I was talking with someone about this and saying how that the want to have power is corrupt in of itself, because this whole having power is inherently corrupt. You don't believe in Jesus, you'll go to hell. Yeah, that sounds like a threat, doesn't it? Or what kind of loving God would say, if you don't believe in me, you're going to hell? I mean, I don't understand like why anyone would think that a loving God would do that. You know what I mean? Greedy people will never feel enough because they always want more. Yeah, it's the whole thing of, what do they call it? Hedonic treadmill. That might explain, I guess, why some people end up doing some really bad things. Like, for example, you get people like, I don't know if that explains things like Epstein and all these other people who then start getting into, some of them start to get into more deviant things as a way to kind of keep on getting that kind of fix, because once the money and the fame or whatever it might be is no longer satisfying them, some of them start to do more extreme things to get thrills. I don't know. Does that make any sense? So I agree, they've been corrupt the whole time, and have only just gotten caught in their ways. Yeah, I think that could be in a lot of cases what it is. Now, yeah, I think some people just, you could say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Maybe some people started off and thinking they want to do something good, but then they just get carried away and just things just kind of, as they start to get more and more successful, what they do, maybe they never intended on getting that level of success. In the first place, maybe, but they just got carried away. Some of them, that could be the case. So I believe in God who doesn't care about humans and rewards those who believe in themselves, face any challenge that comes to them, and devote themselves to hard work. Like, why do you think God makes lions? But then why would you make this is what I don't get. Why would you make animals that have to eat each other to survive? Isn't that pretty like brutal and just kind of why would a god do that? I don't understand. Why would you create such a I think this existence, what we see in this life, can be pretty brutal, and you know what I mean? It's yeah, bruv, I dislike the algorithm. Why? What's this? Yeah, and greed changes people. I agree. So in some cases, yeah, they were already, corrupt and they want to. It's like, for example, you had someone like Liver King who wanted to, blow up and get really rich and all that. And then it's like, look what happened to him. He just, you know what I mean? But in some cases, some people just get caught up in it all and they never really intended to get to that level. So yeah, what's this? Andrew, all right, kids, if I don't believe in Jesus, who let all this evil happen, then sure, I'm good in your superstitional hell. Mick Donek edits says, Jesus loves everyone here. Okay. So I'm like, why would God create all these like carnivorous animals that have to eat each other? They literally like maul each other to death. I mean, that's horrible, right? Like, what kind of loving God created such a thing? I don't know. Yeah, how Joe Rogan exposed the Liver King and he really got upset. Yeah, went crazy, didn't he? And started threatening. Didn't he say like he wanted to fight Joe Rogan or something? Didn't he get arrested or something? It's like he had some mental breakdown over it because he couldn't handle that it'd been exposed, because he was hardly getting any views compared to what he used to get. And anyway, Manny says, without one you can't have the other. If we're all godlike, then how can you experience the opposite? Without suffering, you can't have the opposite. But how much suffering is necessary, though? Can't you just suffer once and then that's it? Why do you have to constantly suffer in life? It sounds like torture then if you're having to have everybody just constantly suffer. Who's scam accounts? But it's just, people, sometimes we get religious people, it's just, I guess, how many people in the world are religious? It's still quite a big number. So yeah, he went to Austin, Texas. Stelling, what do you mean him? I believe I heard him finally got arrested. Okay. You're going off the topic, what we're saying. We're talking about suffering and God. Yeah, well, someone was, talking about, how without suffering we can't have, whatever, the opposite of that, you know what I mean? Roxanne says, I still have hope most days and I don't give up. I try my best. Well, that's good, we should always have hope and we should hope for a better tomorrow. That's the thing. That's what I think keeps a lot of people going is the hope that tomorrow will be better. And, if not tomorrow, then maybe the day after, who knows? But hopefully, there'll be a light at the end of the tunnel. Having that faith is important. And it's not necessarily about a faith in a God, but faith in you, or even faith in the universe, whatever you want to believe. But I think because I remember I was talking to someone about how people with faith tend to be more likely to survive certain things and get through certain hardships and whatever, and because just they had some belief, and it was like, yeah, so that, belief and faith, it can be powerful, but we also, sometimes we have to be rational though, and sometimes people have faith in the wrong things, and you have to be careful about that. Like having faith in bad people, for example, that isn't good, is it? Hello, Daddy Kalu. So, but yeah, it's just I don't know, this whole thing of like suffering and all this brutal stuff, and like I don't know why does suffering have to continuously happen in order to? It's like, hello, Mark Times. It's saying, well, without experiencing one, we can't experience the other. But the question is, why do we have to keep on experiencing evil in this world? Is that really necessary? Because I'm thinking, well, if that's the case, and there's like half is evil and half is good, is there any point to it at all? This is kind of like, you know, I had this sort of like, you could say like almost like a crisis of thought of like, well, if we have to go through just as much pain and suffering as pleasure, is the whole thing even worth it? Because it just cancels out any good. Because if you have to go through negative to experience it, then why even bother? Why even bother with life? Then that's pointless. You know what I mean? It would be just as good just to experience nothing. Hey Jerry, you have played Just Cause 2, man. I love that. I've never played it, no. Who discovered Hell and Heaven? Well, I don't think anybody. But anyway, Survivor, how do you know? What's that? Heroes from the Dead 2 doesn't to heaven the Holy Spirit. So someone was saying about the Shroud of Turin last night, and somehow that proves Jesus' resurrection, but turns out that it probably doesn't really, and it's just like a weak bit of evidence that they try and use to support their point. But yeah. Anyway, chemtrails. What are you saying? Now we have a chemtrails. But who said anything about chemtrails? Oh yeah, we got Roxanne saying, I realize too, chemtrails are part of the problem with new illnesses. I don't know, really. Bad experiences are part of life. I think we need both good and bad to experience things, learn from things. But what I'm saying is the amount of bad things that a lot of people experience, is that necessary? Like, I understand, like, but there has to be more good than bad, I would say, in order for life to be worth it. That's my argument for it, in terms of why would I want to live, a life where I can experience some good, but then have to go through an equal amount of suffering in order to get that? I wouldn't even bother if that's the case, if I had the choice. You know what I mean? Because surely it should be mostly positive, even if we accept that, okay, there is going to be some bad, but it should be at least mostly positive. Like if it's like 70-80% positive and the other 20% like negative, okay, I can take that. As long as it's mostly positive, then it's worth it. So anyway, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, these days, I feel like it seems to be, I guess, mostly positive, but yeah, each individual is going to have there's got to be good and bad, unfortunately. But I'm saying the amount of good should be outweigh the bad. Otherwise, life isn't worth it. I guess it was nice I started this discussion on religion. Like, gee, it shows thinking of people like he said, I'll go to hell if not Jesus, is one I believe in pure terrorism. Yeah, it's just scaring people into submission, it sounds like. Hello, okay, man, good to see you again. How to know bad without good? How to know good without bad, you mean? I get what you're saying. It's a sort of like duality, but I'm saying that, does it have to be like, as much as what it is? Like, what about all the Africans that suffering with poverty, for example? And some of them are just suffering their whole life. Why is that necessary? If you do not taste a bad apple, you'll never appreciate a good one. Simple. Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is that you don't need to keep on tasting bad apples all the time, do you, to know what a good apple is? Hello, Sahar Salar. Hello, Truly Jay. I'm doing fine, thank you. How you doing? We've done some kind of deep, discussion on things right now. What else do you want from me? I don't need. What do you mean? Do I want from you? If you can just like the live if you haven't already. Thank you for the 19 likes, everybody. Thank you very much. We're doing well today. We're getting good chat going on. Yeah, some things are unknown. Can't help just doing my part in this life. Yeah, fair enough. That's all we can do. Thank you for liking. I thought you was here the other day or came in, but yeah. Survivor faith, as written in the Bible, is belief without evidence. So you're telling me you believe despite no evidence? Yeah, because if you don't have any evidence, then it's like, well, then that's just, I would say, in my opinion, that's a delusion then. It's like wishful thinking almost. And truly, Jay's from Australia. Good day, mate. Daddy Kalu says, everyone are not kind. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of evil in this world, but then they say, well, we can't have good without evil. So if that's the case, then you could argue that if there is a devil, then the devil isn't bad because evil must exist. Therefore, it's not a bad thing because it's like a necessary evil, you could call it. So then, does that mean that bad people shouldn't be punished because it's a necessary evil or something? Hello, Christopher. How you doing? Hope you're well. Paradise Lost. There was actually a band called Paradise Lost. I don't know if anyone's heard of them, but they're like a sort of gothic metal band. Yeah. Hello, Lubble. How you doing? Hope you're well today. Has anyone ever heard of them? There's a band called Paradise Lost. Anyway, 25 in the house, 23 likes. Hit that like button if you haven't already. The evidence is him protecting me when I put on the armor of God, Ephesians 6. But again, isn't that some subjective thing that you feel that is protecting you? Like, how would you actually know that? Do you think a lot of the suffering happened to African people is also down to greedy government/leaders? Yeah, I was talking about this before about, how the good governments and leaders and, and corporations and what have you, a lot of them are responsible for, in my opinion, for, not having them fed and not having them, drink clean water in a lot of cases, You can't read the Bible without reading Paradise Lost as well. All right. So what's that like then? I know a band called Paradise Lost. I mean, there's like a metal sort of band, but anyway. Hope you're all having a good day today, people. Welcome to my live. Nice to meet you all. John Wick says, do you believe in God or religion? You do, right? I mean, I don't believe in religion. I would say I'm not like a total atheist, but I question a lot of the, theories on like God and stuff like that. And, this kind of God of the Bible, like, I mean, for all we know, we could be in some simulation. I try to kind of keep an open mind, but there are certain things about this reality that I don't understand. And I will admit that and just be like, okay, there is certain things that are not necessarily explained very well by current science. So, Alex says, I believe in simulations. So what is your reason for that? Welcome back anyway, Alex. The null hypothesis is that there is no God. Right. What are you saying? So what you're saying is that you don't think there's a God then? Well, there's a thing called Occam's razor, which is the simplest explanation is usually the correct one or something. So the one that has the least amount of assumptions is usually the correct explanation. So yeah, that makes sense. A lot of things don't make sense. Well, it's just this whole, I guess, what I sometimes think about in terms of like consciousness and why did we come about as having this kind of what some might call a spiritual experience. What's that? I used to go to school either no, I didn't ever have cigarettes. There's no way making right decisions compared to the miracle my Heavenly Father has done in my life. Okay. Christopher says there most definitely is a God. Well, what God is that then? Donald Gibson, how you doing? Yeah. Thank you, Donald. Yeah. So I do, yeah. I think, not every vegan food is going to taste the same, but it comes down to the individual. But basically, like, there is still things that like bacon and stuff like that they're saying that they're still struggling to replicate and stuff. But Yeah, but there's going to be cruelty no matter what food you eat. You could argue it's just, well, not cruelty, but as in like there's going to be some suffering, but it's about kind of some argue about reducing suffering in terms of, because people, I don't know, I don't want to get into like arguments on this kind of stuff, but like, but yeah, it's like, because you're gonna have counter arguments, and it just turns into a mess every time that kind of topic gets brought up. But it's yeah. What about UFOs? Do you believe in higher races than humans? Potentially. But the way I see it is that what if races other than humans are absolutely nothing like humans? It's likely that whatever, races are out there have absolutely no resemblance to life on here. Like they could have a completely different way of sensing the world than what we do. They might not be able to see us, they might not be able to hear us, they might have a completely different way of sensing us. Um, yeah, what do you think about illegal garbage dumps in the UK? Are you on about like fly tipping they call it, isn't it? Yeah, I don't agree with all that stuff. I think it's just really quite irresponsible. They are in the sea. What's in the sea? Sorry. How are we doing today, everybody? Anyway, I hope you're all having a good day so far. Yeah. Hello. What's this? Ether. Ronaldo or Messi? Probably Ronaldo then. I think probability dictates that aliens somewhere in the universe exist, but because of the size of the universe, they haven't visited. Yeah, I mean that's a good theory that because they say now the universe is what like something like is it 93 billion light years across, which is it's something that the brain it's hard to really kind of comprehend that kind of scale of things. That's just the observable universe. Yeah, so it could be in some other corner of the universe. You could argue that is a long, long way away. We're talking, not just trillions of miles. We'd be talking probably quadrillions, quintillion, sextillion, whatever miles away, which would be just hard to fathom. But anyway, let's see what we've got. I'm an alien. Nice to meet you. Some people say that we are aliens or something to like some other race. We'd be the aliens, wouldn't we? But it's hard to say whether they would have similar qualities to humans. What is the chances that if there is aliens out there, that they would look anything like us? Because people think of like these little green men that kind of look like humanoid type of creatures. What is the chances that that would even be the case? They could be completely different to any life on Earth if they are out there. Hello, Kuldeep Singh. How you doing? So I would say it's unlikely that there's any life that is similar to ours. But anyway, I mean, anyway, Christopher says, "Sorry, mate, Mason. Here I got to go. These people ain't got eyes to see and ears to hear." What you're saying? Who's Mason? Who's Mason? What do you mean? I mean, like, hello, Fighter QT. How you doing? I don't know. Like, I try to keep an open mind and stuff, but like, yeah. But have a good day anyway. I'm just trying to understand where people are coming from with their beliefs and stuff, and yeah, because it's like I find a lot of holes in a lot of what people believe, and I'm trying to, pick people's brains and see what they have to say. Yeah. Well, it's like that's the thing is that people want to push their kind of beliefs on everybody else, and I don't particularly, I don't agree with that. It's like I think we should get to a point where if you can't convince somebody, then just agree to disagree. You shouldn't be trying to convince anybody. I don't think. Anyway, just anyway. Survivor to believer says Jesus Christ is king of the world and the life of God is good. I mean, that's what you think, right? If that's what you want to think about, your beliefs is, but not everyone here agrees, but that's okay. We're just, did Jesus even claim divinity before Abraham was, I am, was only reported in John, the last of the Gospels? All right, well, that's interesting, isn't it? So what you're saying is that, did Jesus ever claim, let's have a look. Did Jesus ever claim divinity? Some people were saying that, why wasn't the pyramids brought up in the Bible or something? That's a good question, isn't it? I don't know. What is your thoughts on that? Was the pyramids actually brought up in the Bible? And if not, why? Because you think something so monolithic like that would have a mention at least. Yes, Christian scripture records Jesus making numerous claims and statements interpreted as assertions of divinity. Well, that doesn't sound like, I don't know, what it says, especially in the Gospel of John. When you talk about the Gospel of John, that's the only one where it says it, something using phrases like, I am with the Father. Before Abraham was, I am, and I am the bread of life, leading to accusations of blasphemy from his blah blah blah. So yeah, idle bones, hello. Yeah, it's not in Palestine, but it's just, wouldn't they kind of like have, kind of had some kind of knowledge that the pyramids existed? Maybe it's like, I don't know, to even mention, I don't know. So I remember someone was saying, why weren't the pyramids mentioned in the Bible? Let's see what they say about that. It wasn't built during the Israelite. Well, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, would these people not have had knowledge of the pyramids or something, or what? Hello, Alex. Hope you're well. Nice to meet you. I've got another Alex. Yeah. Pyramids are already ancient before the Israelites. Well, yeah, I don't know. It would be something I would have thought maybe would have had a mention or something. I don't know. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's just, yeah. John was written 100 years after Jesus' death, yet none of the earlier Gospels tell us that Jesus claimed anything. Oh, really? So it's like, you're talking like the Old Testament, none of that said anything about that. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't be Old Testament. What was it? You're talking New Testament. Hang on, because Old Testament was before Jesus, wasn't it? So anyway, I'm getting confused. Cosmic energy. So what are you talking about? You're talking about some kind of universal force. So you're talking about a what do they call it? Like a, what's it called? Like a non-intervening God or whatever, like what's it called? Impersonal God. Like, you believe in an impersonal God. Is that what you're talking about? Because there's some people say, is God personal? Is he personal or is he impersonal? Alex says, all the sacred books talk is confusing. Oh God. So like, earlier Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke do not make divinity claims for Jesus. Really? Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because you would think it would be mentioned if that's the case. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all having a good day. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. That would be really appreciated. I'm live every day, so we talk about a lot of different things: religion, politics, even things like self-improvement and personal growth. Because, yeah, that's something I feel like is important to talk about. So if anyone's looking to get fit and healthy, let me know and we can maybe try and help you get on the right track. I don't necessarily believe in God, but I watched the moment life formed the other day, and there's a flash of light when it does. Energy creation from nothing. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, Ben Berry. I think there's something quite, you could say, magical about bringing another life into the world. So is that you becoming a dad, or is that somebody? Hang on. So like, basically, it's that you could say there's something quite magical about that two people come together and out pops another life. It's just creating another sentient being out of just two lovers or something. It's pyramids were known to Romans, Egyptians, Greeks, etc. They were built around 4,500 BC. They most likely weren't mentioned in the Bible because the Bible isn't a travel log. All right. Okay. I don't know, but it's just something such a monolithic, creation that, like they call them like the wonders of the world and all that, and like it's just finally a bit I can enjoy. What do you mean, pariah? Aaron says 1 Maccabees states pyramids were built. Or does it? Is that in the Bible? Let's have a look. Let's check that. See if it's. Let's have a look. Survivor to Believer says, every knee will bow to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, thank you. Alex says, I agree, God is beyond religion and books. Pyramids are amazing. Yeah, I don't know, but let's have a look. It says, in 1 Maccabees 13, Simon Maccabeus erected 7 elaborate pyramids at Modin as a magnificent tomb for his father Mattathias, mother and 4 brothers, featuring columns with armor and carved ships as a memorial to their victories. So is that referring to the pyramids of the Giza or something? You're saying? Let's have a look. Yeah. Well, it says it's distinct from Egypt's Giza pyramids. Though inspired by their monumental form, these were elaborate structures with columns, armor, carvings, and ships meant as lasting monuments to their victories, not tombs for victory. So this was a different one, apparently. A different 7 pyramids or something. Anyway, how are we doing today? Survivor, you're okay. Well, everyone's got their own opinions, and yeah. Anyway, so what's your favorite country? Did you answer that, or do you not want to answer? I wasn't sure. I don't think I saw your comment. Sorry. Hello, Katie. Well, I was just talking about like pyramids, and I was also talking a bit about why they weren't in the Bible or something. Apparently. So, favorite country? I don't know. I don't really have a favorite country. I mean, I've only been to France and Spain outside of the UK. A few books can't possibly contain everything about the world. Like, so many things happen. Oh, yeah. I think the pyramids were quite you could argue it's quite a, spectacular thing, though, you could argue. But then, yeah, something quite a achievement of mankind or something. But that's if humans created them, because not everybody believes that the pyramids were created by humans. Some people believe they were created by aliens, created by the master race or something. I don't know. Bulgaria. Oh yeah, Bulgaria. I saw there was some body moved to Bulgaria to basically a cheaper life and just kind of got away from the UK. They bought a really cheap house with some bit of land behind it, and they would start, growing their own food, I think. But it's apparently quite cheap if you want to go and buy a house to yourself and maybe buy some land and stuff. Oh, North Cyprus. My mum actually lived in Cyprus for a few years, and it was glorious weather all the time, and I know. Please be careful. There are scams too. What are you talking about? What's a scam? Hello, Made Tech. My ex-fiance told me ancient aliens built the pyramids, and I instantaneously fell out of love with her. Oh, really? How can you like fall out of love with someone because they think that the aliens built the pyramids? That sounds a bit of a. I mean, I would argue that you probably were never really that in love with her in the first place. If that's the thing that kind of broke it, then it was never really that strong to begin with, I would argue. What do you guys think? Hello, Eden. Is that even for real, this person saying that? I don't know. But, yeah, that someone would fall out of love with somebody because their friggin' fiance that they were supposed to be marrying, and then I believe the aliens built the pyramids, and then. But okay, by what are you saying, Floyd? What are you going now? Hang on. A Christian here isn't the place. Well, I mean, why did you think it was the place? I don't know. I mean, yes, it was real. Oh, really? What is going on? I mean, it's just, yeah. Not everywhere is going to be an echo chamber for Christians, you know? This is the thing, is that they think that they can just, like, I don't know. I mean, there's probably some echo chamber place out there where, you know, where you can have everybody agree with you, and yeah. I mean, is it not healthy to have people kind of disagree? Hello, Abdul. Good to see you again. How you doing? I was just talking a bit about pyramids, as I was talking about them last night, and so the question is, what were they built for? And the mainstream theory is that they were built as tombs, like burials for these people, and it was some kind of like, they believed that their souls would like something about to be preserved or something like that. I mean, it's just, I don't know if that really makes sense. Why are they being found all over the world and stuff like that? So there's some things that are still not fully answered about it all, and there's still a lot of mysteries around these sort of things. Yeah, we're just talking currently about what I was talking about, like what was it? Floyd Rose basically just told me the world would be better without me, and it ain't no love like Christian love. Did he really say that? Let's have a look. Where did he say that? Let's have a look. That I should have probably got rid of that if oh yeah, if you just didn't exist, everything would be okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to get rid of this guy then, Sorry, I should have like got rid of that, because we can't have people who are just gonna say nasty things like that, because you never know what someone's going through, right? It's just wrong. But I've seen people like that before, these supposed Christians who will, how can they say that? Why are they casting a judgment on you? It's like, don't they say that only God can cast a judgment on somebody? That's just ridiculous. If he actually really believes in God, I don't know if they're just trying to like antagonize or whatever, and then maybe a fake Christian, I don't know, but are they just trolling? Because if that is real, then what the hell? Oh, good, James says unknown practitioner. Oh, that's good to hear. Like, why would you then wish that somebody wasn't here? That is wrong, that is not nice. That's supposed to be a Christian, right? I've seen this sort of stuff before, where Christians would have very kind of, seem very unloving, Drex Place says, sometimes I wish Christians really lived by the love and kindness they preach. The world would be so much brighter if they did. Yeah, that's it, Why is it that it's almost like the atheists, if anything, tend to be a lot more, kind in some ways than some of these so-called Christians? It's like, I don't know. Hello, Rahul36, how you doing? Yeah, it's like they're supposed to be all about preaching kindness and love and respect, but yet they're trying to push their views on everybody. And like, is that not a bit kind of, and then some even get aggressive and start saying things like what that person just did. So how can these people really be respected and taken seriously if they're going to do that? Morning, Jamie. Apologies about the, okay. What are you saying? But I mean, I can't really. I don't know. Yeah, you're just like talking shit, Just talking shit, right? Eh. Oh, hello, Biro and A. Hello, Scooter. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Let's have that, eh? What came first, the chicken or the egg? Let's have that. Are you from Syria? Hello, Ches. So, favorite theory? I don't know. My favorite theory? Good question. I have to think about that, really. What about you? Hello, Jagan. I guess, I don't know, you could say string theory or quantum entanglement or something like that. Those are some pretty good theories, aren't they? I don't know. How are you doing today, everybody? I don't know, maybe one day I go to Syria, I don't know. The chicken was mutation from something else. So you could argue that the egg came first then, because if we believe in evolution theory, then therefore then the egg had to come first then, because the chicken was something else before that. What if the chicken and the egg came exactly the same time? Is there such a thing as exact though? Because nothing's ever absolutely perfectly the same time, if you get me. If we're being technical here. So yeah. I don't know. It's for example, for example, let's say, for example, you have two different slides that you push something down. They're both gonna both gonna come to the end not exactly the same time. It could be 0.1 second different. So something had to come first, technically. Technically, eggs were around way before chickens were. Well, yeah, because must have been something else before a chicken, if we believe in evolution, right? The chicken came to fertilize the egg. The chicken came on the other chicken and then the egg. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So, yes, Easter Bunny. What we're saying. Ben Berry says, you found God in prison. What was he in for? What are you saying? Hello, Straight Buster. How you doing? Hope you're doing well today. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for the 27 likes. Cool. Yeah. So let's see about that. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Arguments for both. Let's see what they say on this. Oh, thank you, John Litz. Okay, thank you very much. Deathbat says evolution is real, but human evolution is pretty unknown and cloudy. Well, some argue that humans are actually starting to devolve because how technology's got more evolved, that humans have started to not need to basically be as adapted, you could argue, and they're becoming more they're starting to lose some of their abilities, that they once had. So anyway, let's see what we've got. So let's see. So if an evolutionary view says the egg came first, as eggs existed for millions of years before chickens, with dinosaurs and the reptiles laying shelled eggs long before birds evolved from them. However, if you mean the very first chicken egg, one containing a chicken, then the egg came first because a proto-chicken laid an egg with a genetic mutation that hatched the first true chicken, meaning the egg containing the chicken predated the chicken itself. Get that? Yeah. So thank you, Carol. How are you doing today? So let's see what it says for the chicken. The OC17 protein. Chickens produce a protein called ovoclidin 17 in their ovaries, which is essential for forming the calcium carbonate shell of a chicken egg. The shell requires the chicken. Without this chicken-produced protein, the hard-shelled egg as we know it couldn't form, suggesting the chicken or its direct ancestor was necessary for the modern chicken egg to exist. So, yeah, it's always the egg, isn't it? Yeah, basically. Because something else must have come before the chicken, we would assume. Monkeys are neurotypicals, ASD is modern human. So what you're saying, I remember someone was saying that autism is actually the next step in human evolution. Well, it does seem to be like a dominant gene or something. Let's have a look. Is autism a dominant gene? Let's have a look at this. No single gene causes autism. It's a complex condition influenced by many genes interacting with environmental factors, meaning it's not a simple dominant gene trait. So we're saying it's both a genetic and a environmental thing. So though some specific rare mutations, dominant or recessive, can increase risk and high heritability. It shows genetics play a significant role with multiple genes and inherited mutations contributing to the overall picture along with spontaneous mutations. So yeah. Then why are there still apes? I mean, yeah, that's kind of like a debunked argument, basically. I was talking about this the other day on evolution and why there's still apes. Well, the answer to that would be that it's to do with how we're not actually descended from monkeys. There was different apes that was around tens of and hundreds of millions of years ago, and some of them like went to different parts of the world, and then some evolved and then some died off, kind of thing, that didn't evolve to those, that didn't have those adaptations. Like the hardiest ones in that climate would have survived. But yeah, so that's the explanation for it scientifically. But yeah, yes, mutations, a chimp brain mutated. Oh yeah, I remember there was this thing called, have you ever heard of the stoned ape theory? And how some people say that apes got stoned or something, and then that led to some kind of, like, I don't know, some kind of like, I don't know what you call it, like an evolution or something like that. I remember there was, has anyone ever looked at, stoned ape theory? Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, either a troll or you need to read some books. Yeah. It can be the same time a identical twin is made at the same time and after if they grow separated. You could argue, if we're talking technically, it could be like a millisecond apart or something. I don't know, like nothing is exact. I believe in the universe, nothing happens at the exact same time. There has to be like a, even if it's a millisecond or something like that, or even a millisecond or something, if you get me. Hello, Fernie. This guy calls me troll, but I got him talking about pyramids again and about ASD evolution. Let me know what you want to talk about next. NT, what are you saying? Who's calling you a troll? Did I call you a troll? No, because they are first after they split. So you're saying because they split at the exact same time or something? Yeah, I've had to go on YouTube, but how you doing, Emily? Hi, Vincent. Yeah, I'm on a restriction. I can't be arsed with it anymore. It's just they keep on fucking around with TikTok and stuff. But what's that? OMG, you got buzzing big time. What you on about? What is going on? It's the comments are getting today it's been quite a lively one, isn't it? But hang on. I have no idea why. Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was again, they just keep on trying to restrict it and whatever. YouTube's better anyway. Yeah, TikTok just keeps on It's like if I start talking about some more, contentious topics and stuff like that, they can just like say it's hate speech, even if it's not intended that way. You know? What are you saying, guys? Seen Ray Convert's video on the ship of a No, I've not seen that. What's that about? I don't know what you mean. Anyway, I hope everyone's well today. Chris Noon, whatever. Here we go. Yeah, of course, I'm muted. Yeah, I'm muted, yeah. Yeah, whatever. Here we go. It's, I don't know. Yeah, of course. Whatever. Trolls. Yeah, still got sound, so obviously it's, not muted. Aren't the pyramids for producing metals? I don't know. Someone was saying it was to preserve the, something about the souls or whatever of the king. Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah. I was talking a lot about the pyramids last night, and I started getting into like UFOs as well. But apparently they call them UAPs now. Have you heard about that, anybody? They call them UAPs. It stands for unidentified anomalous phenomenon or something. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Unidentified anomalous phenomena. Pyramids are fascinating. So how do you think they were built? Because there doesn't still seem to be a consensus on how exactly they were built. I was looking into a theory on some kind of like water system with like, I think they had like pulleys or something, and so they used them to produce electricity or something. I've heard about that. People were talking about harvesting free energy. So the question is, some people were saying that, what was it, that because they're being uncovered all over the world, is there some kind of grid that connects them together? We don't know. More research would have to be done into that to see if there's any connection between all these numerous different pyramids that have been. Hello, Juan, how you doing? Or using natural energy to make metals, possibly. Maybe that's, but some were saying about it being some kind of something to do with free energy. But the thing is free energy actually free? That's the question. Is there such a thing as free energy? Like, is it even possible? Theoretically, is it actually possible to make free energy? Now, you could talk about, certain, ways of like, like some of these ways like water wheels and things like that. You get these like turbines that produce electricity, but some might argue that it's not free, that there's a cost to it. That, I don't know. What would you say to that? Do you then, what the hell's going on? All energy starts where? You're about the pyramids or something. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Virus Mark. You look like a nice guy. Keep up the good work. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for your support. Nice one. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Cool. Deadbat says it's been monopolized like everything else. Yeah, like it's like electricity. It's like, the whole system has been, they have it all behind the paywall. Food, shelter. A lot of this stuff should be free, right? I don't care what anybody says, right? Like, surely people should be able to have some kind of shelter. I'm not saying for completely free. It's like, but it's just, we have all the materials to make things. We have all the resources to have free food and stuff. But yet, we just don't have it a lot of the cases, or at least not enough. But I mean, the councils and whatever, and in the local areas, they don't really care. A lot of them, they don't really putting a lot into, giving people resources like food and, things like that. It's just, I don't know. It's like what they're doing is people have like took up land, and then it's like land that shouldn't really belong to them anyway, I would argue. Like, why are these people like, owning all these acres of land that, who said that these people should own that land, Who gave them that land? who gave all these landowners the land to begin with? You know, where did all that come from? Who sold it to them? You know, because they had to buy it from somewhere. Okay, take care. I didn't know you were still there, Susie. Have a good one. Okay. Juan says, Jimmy fellow, do you have any socks on? Why the hell? So the question is like, yeah, Chris Noon, hello, how you doing? Alex says yes, but now how have we lost technology? We can't get back to the moon. We can't build structures that stand forever anymore. The concrete that heals itself, we don't know how anymore. Yeah, how is that even possible? It's like they said they destroyed the technology to get to the moon. That's what makes a lot of people scratch their head about, did we even ever go to the moon, is the question. Because so they're saying, oh, it's too expensive to go to the moon or whatever. They're prioritizing other things because of how much it costs, you know, to build all these things to get to the moon or whatever. But does that really make sense? Or is that just a convenient excuse? I mean, like, it's been over 50 fucking years and they still haven't been back. Like, it didn't take them that long to get up there in the first place, right? NASA was formed, what, 19, whatever. It was only about 10 years or so before their first mission. And they sent a few missions up and then nothing since. I don't know, it's just, you know, what are you guys' thoughts on that? As they talk about the Van Allen radiation belt and how they have to, you know, make shielding for the radiation or something. If there's a deadly radiation up there, why did none of them suffer any consequences from that? You know? I don't know. It's what's going on with all that. It's a bit of a... Now, I'm not saying that we didn't go or whatever. Hello, Grill. How you doing? Okay. Although it is... they probably found some ancient structures. What are you saying, that like there's something hidden on the moon? Someone was talking about the dark side of the moon yesterday. So could something be hidden around the dark side of the moon potentially, or whatever, the side that we don't get to see? Oh, something. Hi, what are you saying? Okay, well, I'll just get rid of you then. Here we go. So you don't think that we did go? So anyone thinks that we did go? What is your explanation for all this Van Allen radiation belt, and why is it that none of them were affected by it if it was somehow such a deadly radiation? I don't know, it all seems a bit kind of, I don't know, it all seems like I don't know, like they've made up excuses and then it's like, is it actually a deadly radiation belt that they cannot penetrate through, potentially? Is that what it is? Time exposure, what do you mean time exposure? What's they talking about? They found a 50-foot deep cave in the moon, didn't they? Did they? If they didn't go, why didn't Russia day something? Well, maybe you could say they thought that they did or something. You could say, well, they fooled them as well or something. I don't know. You came up on my Facebook suggested the other day. Oh, really? Hi, Sherba. How you doing? Good to see you again. Hope you're well today. Vincent says, how many hours you've been going live, bro? I don't know. As many as I go live. I don't know. Nice pick. Haha. Oh, really? Well, thank you, I guess. Too many maybes and YT videos. What are you saying? I mean, there's just a lot of, you could say a lot of, you know, things about, you know, the whole thing about why they did go, and it seems a bit sus. Why is it that they haven't been since, kind of thing? It's like, I don't know. I don't know, it all seems a bit of a, you know, there's a lot of question marks around that. Because wouldn't you think there's a lot of things to maybe look at on the moon? Maybe there's a lot of stuff they could find, like resources, things that they could, maybe there's a use to go back there and discover new things, because they didn't really have a lot of time to really, maybe they could have a look to kind of I mean, what would be cool is if they could live stream the whole thing and like sort of so people can see exactly what's going on, and there would be no way of faking it basically then, where they could see it going from. I think that'd be pretty cool, right? If they could do that. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I don't know. It's just they say it's a waste of money, but then they waste a whole bunch of money anyway. I don't know. Well, they could. Like, you could say they could fake it. I suppose, like, you could say you could fake anything these days. They lost most of the evidence. Yeah, wasn't a thing called telemetry data that they conveniently lost or something? I don't know. It just seems a bit. I'm not saying that we didn't go necessarily, but I mean, there's a whole bunch of theories. Like, some say that we did go, but the footage was fake. I don't know. Like, there's a whole bunch of like theories around it, but like, what I'm saying is I just don't trust the government and what, so like, as far as like kind of, if there's anything that, kind of makes me a bit skeptical, then I'm just like, I don't know about this. Oh, Frank. Yeah. Sure, solve world hunger. What would it solve world hunger? What we're saying, they could harvest the cheese. Oh yeah, the green cheese. Oh yeah, some say the moon's made of green cheese. I remember I heard that saying before, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I remember watching some documentaries about the moon landings, though. I don't know, maybe some of it was just kind of misunderstood. It's like there was that whole thing about the flag waving, and I don't think that's a good, argument that we didn't go, to be honest, because that can be explained due to momentum, because that doesn't mean that they're in some atmosphere up there, because they're like, oh, look, there's a flag waving. That means they can't be on the moon or something. Now, I don't know. I don't think that is a reason to think that we didn't go, but anyway. Yeah, and it's low-res images. Yeah, I mean, low-res images are, you could say that, you could argue they're a lot easier to fake because, any sort of like, imperfections wouldn't even get picked up probably on it. You wouldn't really be able to tell if they're just in some desert somewhere or whatever, or in some like studios, because it's that kind of blurry image or whatever that it's hard to really kind of tell. So some might argue that that's why they haven't bothered going back, because it would be a lot harder to fake now or something. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of theories and stuff. Apparently it wasn't needed anymore because they played it live on TV. But yeah, like you said, it's not a very good image of it, because I don't know. They could say about the cost of it and how much it would cost. I saw it would cost like billions or something, which would not be good to be, spending so much money on a mission to the moon again or something. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to talk to people who, maybe if we had people who were like more clued up on this kind of stuff, but on both sides, I mean, and kind of try to hear points from both sides on that to really get a broader perspective on it. But I like to try and keep an open mind with things and just not be dogmatic. I just go wherever the evidence takes me. If then the evidence shows something else, then I'll go with the flow, basically, I think that's healthy to do that, Go where the evidence takes you, no matter where it goes. It's like, a lot of people, they'll just kind of hold on to a belief system that's like an emotional kind of attachment to some kind of belief system, then that becomes like a religion then, doesn't it, you know? Instead of an actual like objective belief or objectively knowing something or whatever. So anyway, what's going on with this chat? Seems to have gone quiet. Hang on a sec. Right, so we're an old political stunt because they still cannot pull it off. Yes, it would. Everyone wants to see it. I'm all the intuition you need what you mean. You're all the intuition that I need. That's why as I see the evidence more clearly, it's more weighted to the side of being fake than it is true at this point. It's just, it would make sense that if it is fake, then they wouldn't want to try it again because, like I said, it would be a lot harder to fake, you could say, because someone could easily using technology, they could see certain anomalies with the footage and stuff like that if they're doing a bunch of if it was say like green screen or something like that, or I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised billionaires haven't been paying for visits to the moon. You would have thought so, wouldn't you? But yeah, that is a good point, really. And they have tried to keep covering it up and still are. It would be a nightmare. You would have thought that Elon Musk would have done it by now, really, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? He did some car thing in space or something. But yeah, why didn't he end up going to the moon or something? Does that mean they can't get to the moon? Is there some kind of impenetrable barrier that they can't get through? Gonna be more interesting than visiting the Titanic. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be the biggest publicity stunt ever, wouldn't it? It probably would have thought it'd be worth it. I mean, how much would it cost? How much does it cost to go to the moon? No, I don't believe the Earth is flat. No. So it says here. It says here about $35 billion per crewed lunar landing. So, I mean, how much does he have? I mean, he could afford it, I would reckon. You would have thought. Maybe Elon is from the moon. It would make a lot of sense. He just stole away when they came back in '69. 35 billion, and what's NASA's annual budget? Is it 20 odd billion or something? But if Elon say I mean Elon could probably fucking crowdfund it or something, if he really wanted to, as a way of yeah. Chucky says Elon is 100% from the moon. He got cheesy, you're saying, or what are you saying? Yeah, hope everyone's doing well anyway. Elon doesn't see a point in going back. I don't know, I mean, I think if you have that much money, then that would be a pretty cool thing to do, right? I guess maybe they just think it's boring. That's his own words. I don't know, maybe. But just trying to, figure things out and stuff, and just thinking hypothetically, if he's not going back because they can't go or something. Look, Anthony, oh God. Elon uses the advantages of ASD in combination with the most awful characteristics of NTs. So what you're saying, the kind of, the brain of an autistic person with the kind of, like innovation and all this kind of stuff but with also like the social kind of like what you mean, like the narcissistic kind of traits of like, I don't know. Is that what you mean? Hello, Nirani Burger. How you doing? Right, nice to meet you. Welcome to the live. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. He has no empathy. That's the thing, isn't it? Like you could say, but you would say that like but some people are saying that autistic people have no empathy. Yeah, sort of deception is not an ASD way. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't say he's like fully like ASD or anything. No, not true. Yeah, I think that like when they say they don't have empathy, it's just that neurodiverse people, especially like autistic people, don't tend to show empathy. Maybe like people can think that you're ungrateful or you're this and that, but sometimes you can feel it, but you don't always show it. Like you don't always show your emotions. You tend to be a bit more kind of, kind of like keep it more to yourself in a lot of cases. Now people say, why don't I smile and stuff like that? I'm not always a very expressive person. That's just how I am. Yes, our signs are laser triggered. NTs are floodlight. Yeah, that's a good like analogy. Hi, Manan 1797. I'm from the UK, so technically I'm European, yeah. Apocalyptic dog, hello. They have it varying levels and sometimes misplaced. Perhaps I have it and don't fully understand myself, quite honestly. Yeah, some people argue that even neurotypical people might have bits of autistic traits. What your thoughts on that? Maybe do you think that could be the thing? I do have a real diagnosis. Who are you talking to? I have an autistic diagnosis, but it's not cool for everyone to say I have it. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of people who it's like what they call it, an aesthetic, like where they'll say, "Oh, I'm neurodiverse or neurodivergent," and they'll say, "I'm this and that." It gets a bit kind of obnoxious, doesn't it? Really, when people, because all that does is then just kind of trivializes the whole thing and makes it into some kind of thing that's just like normal. But really, there's some people that really have serious he believes on something spiritual. That's kind of agnostic. Who are you talking about? You know about Elon Musk? Yeah, I don't think so, but like, so what does he believe in then? Does he believe, let's see what it says. Does Elon Musk believe in God? Let's have a look what it says here. Like, Elon Musk's stance on God has evolved. He now says he believes in a creator, referring to the origin of the universe, and identifies as a cultural Christian, valuing Christian principles like love and kindness, though he's not a devout follower, and distinguishes the creator from a judgmental deity. Focusing more on a physics-based understanding of existence and morality, he sees modern ideologies filling spiritual voids, but emphasizes the wisdom in Jesus' teachings for guiding human behavior, particularly regarding morality and population. That sounds a bit like Einstein's kind of impersonal God theory, like is what it basically sounds like. Like Einstein said he believed in an impersonal God or something, as in a non-interfering God or something. So what do you believe in then, Scooter? What is your take on God? And I can't remember if I asked you about this before, but yeah, what's everybody's take on that? So, because everyone's got their own theories, but yeah, I will take on this. God. So anyway, yeah, we all right, everybody? Welcome in here. Anyway, who's still in the live? Got 15 people. Say hello if you're still watching. Thank you for the 33 likes. No, seriously, he is a poser. Right. What do you mean he's a poser? In about the religion stuff or what? He's no icon for ASD. What does he say? He's got it. Elon Musk, ASD. Well, there was that thing. Remember Greg Wallace when he was like called out and all that stuff happened over, like some kind of sexism or something like. And then he said, "Oh, maybe I have undiagnosed autism." It did sound like a kind of get out of jail free card. I feel like sometimes people use it as a get out of jail free card. Still here, just mopping. Okay, fair enough. He called his Asperger's, but it's the same thing. Yeah, it's part of the autistic spectrum now. Yeah, it says he has Asperger's syndrome, I thought, of the autism spectrum. Yeah, so it was a few years ago. It was included on the what do they call it? The DSM and the autistic DSM, what it was called, the as part of that diagnostic criteria for autism spectrum. Yeah, it's a more high functioning form of autism where oftentimes you have average to above average intelligence. When it comes to religion, I don't understand why people argue either way. If you believe or not, why do you have to defend it? Yeah, I know. I'm more into just like trying to understand where people are coming from. I'm not here to defend. I'm just here to try and learn and try and understand. I was talking about suffering and things like that, and why is all this necessary if there's a loving God? I was like ask questions about things like that, try and understand where people are coming from. Also to get people to think about what they're, about it themselves and stuff. Am I an Aussie? No, I'm from the UK. I've not read the Bible, but I've only seen like bits out of it. But yeah, maybe I should actually read it to fully understand it, because then they could say like, that you have to actually. They say condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance, I think is what the quote was. That's not from the Bible, but I mean it's some famous quote from somewhere, basically meaning that if you haven't looked into it, you cannot. So yeah, some say it's like more of an allegorical thing, that it's a that can be interpreted more allegorically. Orangutan anatomical lungs fire cracker power. What are you on about, Brandon? Hello, Pohan. Yeah, how you doing today? I don't think anyone thinks he's an icon. However, he's a significant and relevant. Are you talking about Elon Musk? Yeah, anyway. How are we doing today, everybody? Let's have a drink. Yeah, I think I've not been drinking enough with all this going live so much, and like my, mouth would start drying up and stuff. Healthy me says, what are you saying? Time for the new, what you mean? Time for the new. Fernie says, maybe I don't think there is a creator, but because the world would have balance, but we're out of balance. Yeah, it feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like very chaotic and random. So that's why I would be more inclined to think that there isn't, but then how do we know? I guess maybe it's not meant to have balance. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe the creator isn't some kind of thing that we think of as like human. Or some people also think that we live in some kind of science experiment or something, that it's just meant to just let to just be like a free-for-all, basically. Or maybe somebody created it for their own entertainment, just to see all the chaos unfold. I don't know. There's all kinds of theories I could come up with, and yeah, no balance. We have free will. We have to make our own balance. Well, that's been kind of brought in, to question about free will. I mean, I was talking about this the other day as well. How do we truly have free will? You could say we have free choice, but do we have free will? Is there a difference in that? So, say 0.1% is now days, war is say 0.7%, human extinction is 2.5%. What are you saying? I don't. Hello, Craig. How you doing? Hope you're well. How's your day going? Hope it's going well. I'm not sure if free will exists. That's a trippy hole to go down. It's quite an existential kind of rabbit hole, like solipsism and other theories that are just like you start to think, oh, whoa, you start questioning life and what it means to be alive and all that kind of stuff. It's like I'm doing fine, thank you, Craig. So where are you from, by the way? Don't forget, we can only see as far as we can see based on blueprints, right? Yeah, it's like we're only, well, they say we can only see something like 5% of the light spectrum. I thought, oh, Suffolk. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How's the weather like down there at the moment? It is just bound by repercussion. What are you saying? What's bound by repercussion, sorry? Our mind also, yeah, our mind has limitations and stuff. Oh, raining. Oh, no. It's not raining here, actually. Yeah. We had some rain last night, actually, but it was fine most of the day. But yeah, it was raining late at night. Free will. What I was thinking about in terms of like, you're on about like we make decisions based on the consequences of those decisions. So therefore, do we have free will? Because it's like depending on our, kind of, circumstances that certain things could happen if we make certain decisions. Do I like documentaries? Yeah, I like documentaries. I watched some stuff on like YouTube and things like I'd watch stuff on like true crime documentaries and other ones like that. Really. Hello, Jolene. Jolene. Yeah. Not too bad, thank you. How are you doing today? You okay? Sorry if you're sick of hearing about that. What's that? Koyan and his cat. See, it's a good one. Is that true crime or something, or what is that about? Jolene says, "Oh, good lol." Oh, that's good. Glad to hear it. So yeah. Well, what's that? We also understand time only how we are programmed to. Yeah, I was thinking about. Well, someone was saying about when it comes to time, about say, about Einstein's theory of relativity, that we can't go back in time or whatever because it's constantly moving forward, and that would break theories like his theory basically. That. So, what are your thoughts on that? Is that something that is based on a limited understanding of reality? Because then you could argue, well, if we are in some kind of simulation, then anything's possible, basically. I can outdo Einstein too. But it's like, if we are in a simulation, then anything's possible. And no simulation, all right. So what makes you think we're not in a simulation? Because, it's like, for example, right, when we're having a dream, that feels like reality. So who's to say that this is even real? What I'm experiencing right now? What even is reality? Hard to describe, but it is footage. All right. If we were, why does it matter? Well, yeah, I suppose. It's just like, I don't know. It's just something to ponder, I guess. But like, what even is reality? It's just, yeah. It gets all very kind of muddy, doesn't it? And like blurring the lines of reality and, yeah. Oh, it's really too much pain. Well, what's too much pain? Sorry, hang on. Shared idea. Yeah, in about like, some people have synchronicities and where they think the same thing at the exact same time. Sometimes that's happened before. I remember I was talking about an idea to, what was it? Use OBS to stream StreamYard lives, unlimited, basically. And we both had this idea at the exact same time. Like, how is that even, like just a coincidence? There's certain things like that can make me think like that. If you make your own, then off to the loony bin. What you're saying? Make your own. You're about your own idea or something, or hang on, I'm getting kind of lost in the chat right now. What we're talking about. As with AI, it's based on judgment, right? If you think living in a simulation is eventually possible, then it's likely we're already in one. Yeah, good point. Hello, Jamie. And you could argue that, like, getting into like a metaverse or something, it's like, you've seen that whole thing about the metaverse, and that could feel real, but then it's like not quite because they haven't advanced it enough to simulate reality properly. And apparently it's become this flop of a thing, like this metaverse, this meta, like Mark Zuckerberg. Horizon Worlds. You can go to Horizon Worlds and you can experience anything that you like. Define simulation. Well, that's a good question. Well, yeah, because a lot of people would think of it as like a computer simulation, but maybe it's more of like what you could call like an organic simulation, where more like a dream in a sense. Maybe like a shared dream. How about that? A shared dream of what we call reality. Some people say life is but a dream or something. It's like, what if we're all dreaming the same thing, but it's not real? I don't know. How about that? I mean, I could go on all day probably about all sorts of theories, but at the end of the day, yeah, it doesn't really make any difference. Yeah, but I just like to kind of, I don't know, think about what if, and I don't know. Social media needs to be shut down. Well, yeah, I mean, I get that. It's kind of gotten a bit out of hand with all the AI slop, and yeah. The thing is, if you start thinking about being in a simulation, you're surely hovering over a rabbit hole. The depths of imagination is boundless. Now, one thing is, I was thinking about a while ago, that the problem, if you think you're in a simulation, you might see life as kind of like, like you might not see like any point in like morality and things like that, because, well, it's all a simulation, so it's not real. So you might treat life like it's Grand Theft Auto, is what I was thinking. Imagine if everyone started thinking it's a simulation, could that lead people to think that it's just like Grand Theft Auto, a free-for-all, and, now it goes far deeper than that. It's kind of psychosis type shit. It's dangerous. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, applications to make a difference. What's the applications? So yeah, I hope you're having a great day, everybody, and share this out if you can. That would be really appreciated. See, I've got my dad coming around later, but yeah, so I'm sitting for like how long? Nearly 2 weeks. So yeah. Anyway, hello. What's deeply disturbing? Don't ever touch mushrooms or LSD if you have an open mind. I've heard that can really I've heard about DMT. That's some real fucking, yeah. That's apparently some really like, yeah, stuff that you would want to be kind of, yeah, probably want to be avoiding that stuff unless you're, yeah, in the right sort of, I mean, I'm not telling people to do anything illegal, so if this is illegal, then don't do it. But yeah, it's some people would go to like retreats and stuff and be around certain people where they're in a controlled kind of environment where they make sure that they're safe and all that. And because I've heard things can happen where people can have bad things happen, even deaths have happened, but they are rare, but it can happen. Powers that may want people confused in all aspects of life. That way we are distracted from things like globalism. That's a good point, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, mainly just doing this stuff at the moment, but yeah. Anyway. Yes, what was it? People talk about how good it is, and it is extremely dangerous. Oh, yeah. I guess it depends on each person. Some people say that they have a really good experience and it opens their mind up and stuff. I actually know somebody who actually said that he's experimented with mushrooms, and he said that it really opened your mind up, and he actually said that, it woke him up to a lot of like the things in the world. I don't know, but then I've heard also people talking about have you heard about this thing called the pineal gland? Some people call it the third eye, and how if you drink, like if some places they have fluoridated water, and some people are saying that calcifies the pineal gland or the third eye, and that blocks you from like seeing the truth or something like that. I don't know, but it would be like a lot of it would be in like toothpaste and stuff, and some are saying that is what's causing a lot of people to be. I don't know. I don't know if there's any truth to that really, but I mean, it can't be controlled and is unpredictable, right? We don't fit into the mood properly. What's that? It doesn't work well on ASD. What are we talking about? You're on about with shrooms and stuff like that. C. Jobs said acid trip was most profound experience in life. Well, yeah, I guess it. If you, I don't know if you can. I don't know, but again, like don't do anything illegal. I'm just trying to cover my ass here. You never know what could happen if. You know what I mean? I have to kind of just put out disclaimers of shit. I don't know. That's how crazy things have gotten, but yeah. But yeah, I've heard people talk about all these different, psychedelics and stuff, and how it was the most profound experience they ever had. There was a guy called, I think it was called Connor Murphy. He was like some bodybuilder, influencer guy, and he would do these pranks on the street where he would go up to a woman and then he would like take his shirt off and see the reactions and stuff, and those got like millions of views. But then he ended up falling off where he would end up doing psychedelics and stuff, and he would just become kind of mad in the head. So I think these things, if you do them a lot, could actually really have lasting effects on your brain. And yeah, so you got to be very careful, because he went kind of crazy, that guy. Apparently he's on the autism spectrum, he said, I think. But so maybe you're got a point there that maybe autism and psychedelics do not mix, because that Connor Murphy went completely like insane after that. Yeah, he was. You're on about Connor Murphy, the bodybuilder guy, but yeah, but he ended up like some people reckon that he actually unalived somebody. I don't know how true it was, but there's some really sus thing that happened. There was this guy called what was it called? Longevity guy, I think it was called. Again, he was another member of like the bodybuilding community. I think he used to go on more plates, more dates and stuff. And what was it called? Some longevity guy. I can't remember what it was called exactly, but yeah, it was something longevity, if you remember the name. But when I can tell you drugs and psychosis don't mix, personal experience, right? Okay, that's yeah. So, but yeah, Connor Murphy, like, so what was it called? Something longevity or something. He was like I think he was like a bit of like a biohacker or something, and he just died in some mysterious circumstances. And some people reckon that, like, possibly this guy called Tony Huge, was he covering up for it or something? And there was some video where it was kind of going over this stuff, and some are saying that, Connor Murphy might have had something to do with it. I'm not saying that he did, but but considering how Connor Murphy was in a bad mental state at the time, and apparently Leo and Longevity, that was what it was called. And Leo apparently was saying some shit that, kind of like, that could be seen as a bit disrespectful and kind of insulting to somebody. And And then what happened is maybe you could say Conor Murphy may have snapped, and was he responsible for it? We just don't know. The name is said to change. What name you're saying? Yes, luckily I never taken anything and realised that prior, lol, right? We do say autism spectrum instead of mentally deficient. I wouldn't say it's mentally deficient. I think that is I wouldn't call myself mentally deficient. I mean, would anyone call me mentally deficient? I mean, I have a diagnosis, but that doesn't mean I'm mentally deficient. It's subjective, I guess, but you could argue some people on the spectrum are, if they have learning difficulties and stuff like that, and they struggle with things like basic functions, and some of them even struggle with washing and getting dressed and things like that. At that point, then yeah, you can call it mentally deficient. What are you saying, Mikey? So what was it? The disorder part is being taken out and replaced with something like difference, etc. Yeah, because disorder implies that it's a negative, because dis is it's got negative connotations, doesn't it? Disorder, disorderly, drunken and disorderly, disarray, dysfunctional. Well, actually, that's spelled DYS, but I guess it's kind of same meaning. But yeah, disillusioned. I don't know, it has a negative connotation to it. Well, some people just call it a condition, it's a neurological condition. Maybe that's a more fitting term. I don't know. Okay, gold, silver, whatever. So I don't know. Would condition be a more fitting word, or I don't know. Or would that be too kind of generic of a word, calling something a condition? I don't know. But anyway, how are we doing, people? Anyway, who's still in the live? It's gone a bit slower now, but yeah, just AS maybe. Yeah, it should just be called autism spectrum. Just, yeah, instead of just adding the disorder at the end, because yeah, that sounds a bit kind of derogatory. Because in some ways, I could kind of perceive neurotypicals in the exact same way. Like the fact that neurotypicals oftentimes feel the need to fit in, or feel the need to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that. I could consider that as a disorder in a way, because that is what kind of keeps people stuck in this, materialist kind of trap, is this need to, I'm not saying not every neurotypical is like this, but oftentimes it's more the neurotypicals are more impacted by society, which, kind of encourages them to try and keep up with the Joneses, get the newest iPhone. So it's all a matter of perspective. They might see us as weird and antisocial, but then we might see them as, what the fuck are you doing? Why do you need to do all this? Why do you need to keep proving yourself to others that you're good enough or something to that group or whatever? The way I see it is that if the group doesn't accept you for who you are, ditch them and find other people who accept you for the way that you are. Yeah, effing sick of it. They tried to end me and many others in many ways. What do you mean? Especially drugging us. Oh, fucking hell. It's not weird, just no one cares. We all have stuff going on. Well, yeah. I think it's just when people, it's just when people say stuff like, oh, well, why don't you smile or whatever?
and some people actually mask, and they actually, some people in the workplace, for example, they will feel like they have to mask, especially like women on the spectrum. They oftentimes, I hear a lot of them will mask. They will put on a happy face and all that, and hello Harry, hello Tovig, hello Born Mentalisk. How you doing? So that they'll put on this like brave face and all that, just to try and then they'll pretend that they're okay all day, and then and it's like they get home and then they're drained from having to pretend. So a lot of women do that. I think men might do it to some degree, but I think it's less of a thing. I guess it's just that men in general tend to, kind of be a bit less kind of, you could argue that, yeah, they're still social, but like, men tend to be, you know what I mean? I'm trying not to, generalize here, but if the group is large and powerful and everywhere and there's no escape, yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? When you're part of a big group, but like, I mean, is there no escape? It's like you could say like people get into cults like Scientology and it can be difficult to escape. If they'll threaten you and stuff like that. And is that the sort of stuff you're talking about? Like culty, cliquey kind of groups of people who they might make threats that if you leave them, then I don't know, what are you trying to say? Christianity and Islam too, says Alfie. How you doing? What about it? You're on about like with religions and stuff now as well. Yeah, who's still in the live? Thank you for the 36 likes, everybody. Yeah. Anyway, what time are we on now? 13:07. Gonna be very cultist too. I agree. It's like the way that they'll try and push their, views on everybody. Like they'll say that, we had someone in the chat. I don't know if they were serious, but they were telling somebody that they wish that they weren't here. Like, how is that a way to promote your, loving religion on to people? Because, I mean, whether that was real or not, that's just an example of how some of these Christians that are so-called loving and kind and all that can be. I'm not saying that all Christians are like that, but it's just a bit of a contradiction to me that these people that talk about, I can't judge anybody, only God can judge, but yet they'll judge somebody and then say that things, nasty things to them, and like, you just sound like you're contradicting yourself, Like, it's like you can't have it both ways. You can't be like saying that you're a Christian, but then acting like a complete asshole, Wouldn't God not really like that if you just... Because all you're doing is, if anything, you're going to be putting people off It's like these people who shout their stuff in town, and it's like, how is that helping? It's ridiculous. If anything, that would be more of an advertisement for atheism. If you want to promote atheism, go out and preach God, because you're probably gonna, if anything, put people off God even more. Who has psychosis? What are you talking about? So many don't act anything like Jesus. Completely agree. Yeah, exactly. So what would they say about that then? Like, yeah, they are all alive in that Thai neighbor is completely contradictory. Thy neighbor, you mean, not Thai, thy neighbor, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is like, how can you say you one thing but then do another thing? It's like being a hypocrite, really, isn't it? It's like, to me, it's almost like some people just hide behind a religion, and it kind of just like has people think that they're this great person, that they're holier than thou and all that, and it's really that, that they're actually hiding that they're really can be a nasty piece of work. It's like some of these so-called spiritual people who, these new age spiritualists who go on about love and light and, love, light and peace and all this kind of stuff. Hello, One Dark Rep, good to see you. I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. All, love, light and all this crap, and the crazy guys shouting about the rapture. Oh yeah, I know. All that's going to do is just put people off, isn't it, I would argue. I guess I would reckon it would put more people off than it's going to get to be converted. That's one of the arguments supporting man-made idea. What are you saying? What's that? Sorry. Feeling good, man. Thank you, bro. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my last short. It was only like a couple of reps, but I did chin-ups. But I'm trying to do it with better form now. I'm trying to kind of... The thing with it, if you tuck your legs when doing pull-ups and chin-ups and stuff, it's hard to try and keep good form because what happens is, without even trying, oftentimes you might kip as a way to try and sort of use some momentum. But what I found is that by not trying to kip with the hips, trying to lift the legs up and stuff, I felt my lats engage more, because I'm now having to rely more on the lats to pull me up instead of it being more of a kind of full body movement. So that's gonna, you get more of that kind of mind muscle connection by trying to focus my, pulling on the muscles that I'm trying to work. So that's what it's about. Tool for power and control / shield etc. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Elbows in as well, don't floor the elbows. I've seen something about that as well. That I was watching a video on that, and but so I think if you're struggling with reps, it's okay to cheat a little bit, because as long as you're still working the muscles that you're trying to. But I think over time you should probably try to use stricter form and stuff. But yeah, that's really good, mate. You doing really? I'm going to have a look at the short now. Yeah, there was still, maybe you could argue it's a little bit of kip in there, but it was not really that. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. But I was looking at some of my old videos. There was a bit more kipping in the reps and stuff, and yeah, it's just, some say you should do pull-ups with straight legs, but I don't have a bar that's high enough for that in most cases. Even the one at the gym, I still have to bend my legs a little bit, just because because I'm taller, I have to kind of, what's my IQ? I don't know, I've not had it measured. Depends, though, most people through history had some kind of religion, and it was linked to culture and stuff. I think evolution evolved for a reason, but we don't need it anymore. Yeah, I get that. I think religion was a way of, you could say it was a way of morality and trying to encourage people to have a sort of moral compass or something like that, because back in times of because we hadn't evolved or something properly, and having these kind of, what do they call it, these primal instincts and stuff like that, is a way to kind of, almost like a way of governing people with certain kind of moral and ethical sort of principles and stuff like that. What's this? Yeah, perfect, that dude, well done, man. Yeah, I did some what they call assisted pull-ups afterwards, because that way I can then continue to sort of work those muscles even if I'm struggling to do pull-ups and stuff. So that's one way to kind of, you could do it as a drop set actually. So you could do pull-ups to failure and then get a lower bar so it comes up to just above around the stomach area. What you do is you get under it. So you put your feet under it, and then you sort of pull it, not quite the same as a bodyweight row. Instead, I'll show you what I mean. What you're doing is kind of like this. So imagine if I'm doing it like this, and I'm kind of like that sort of thing. Like kind of like this. Imagine if I'm under like a lower bar, kind of doing that, but your feet are supported. So that's a good way to try and do pull-ups, but like an easier version where you're mainly just doing it with your upper body. Anyway, yeah, but science will never work it out. It's like a fishing rod and carrot. Yeah, no, yeah, dangling the carrot, they call it. Science is just a process. Yeah, it's like a never-ending process because, like, we have limits of what we can understand. Reality is far too complex to understand everything, I believe. It's like they're even still finding out stuff about biology and, like, things like they're still finding out about like things like phytonutrients and how it all kind of interacts with the body and all that kind of stuff. There's just far too much complexity to understand everything. So yeah, hey brother from another mother, how's it going? Human 9512, how you doing? So yeah, so like that's the it's called the assisted pull-up that I was trying to demonstrate. But yeah, it's where you have your legs sort of bent and kind of it's like your hips are bent and you kind of you start in like a sort of sitting position kind of thing. So imagine if I'm just like sat on the floor with my legs straight, and I would actually imagine I have a bar above me and I'm pressing up. That's how you do it. So if you can't do pull-ups, start with that variation because that'll help to build some strength up to that. And then you could do band assisted pull-ups after that, and then or you could do, or another one is negative pull-ups can also be a way. I started off with like negative pull-ups, or called eccentric pull-ups, which helps you to build that strength. Because if you're struggling to, especially if you're struggling with that full reps and stuff, it helps you to be able to, so you can go through the full range of motion, because you're still going to be building strength in that negative portion. Because if you can really get good at resisting that negative, then it's like you're still working those muscles. You're working them in like the reverse part of the movement, if you get me. So what's that? Phones, modern medicine, automation, computing power. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we've, a lot of advancements that have happened in the last couple of centuries and stuff, with like industrial revolution and all that kind of stuff. So hello Sarita, don't think so. I hope everyone's doing well today anyway. But yeah, as you might have guessed, I quite like getting into fitness and working out and stuff. So yeah, we need more of it. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's I think science can be a great thing. The only problem is that people can abuse science, and then not the science itself, but they can say that something is science and it could be like some fake BS. That's the thing. You have to be, smart to see that, kind of basically understand what is real science and what is not science, sort of thing. People can use pseudoscience and mislead people with it, Hi, HS, how you doing? Technology and science are two different things, intertwined surely. Well, I would say technology is applied science. Like you need scientific, sort of like advancements in, scientific knowledge to then create technology. Like, for example, we learn different things like how to, so a lot of it's through experimentation, and like discovering electricity, I guess, was like a scientific discovery. And therefore we can create technologies from that. We do things like, inventing the wheel and stuff like that. It's a lot of it's about understanding physics and how it works to apply it and, to make technologies. Well, I can't do any math and yet don't need it for science. What are you saying? I mean, yeah, like maths is something that, it depends on what type of science you're doing, but yeah. Technological discovery, yeah. But I'd argue that like technological advancements need at least a basic level understanding of science through, kind of like understanding of things such as things like, for example, magnetism, electromagnetism, things like that. We base it on scientific principles, and then we apply it and make technologies from that. So I don't know what you mean, but it's like say, for example, medicines and stuff like that. That's through scientific research, and they are, you could argue, a form of technology when we develop new medicines and new maybe new equipment, things like that. Is all based on you would use the scientific method to discover a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, anyway, let's see what it says on the AI. What does it say? Because if I remember, it said that, somewhere about technology being the application of science. You could argue maths as well, but anyway, so is technology applied science? Let's see what it says. Yes, technology is widely considered a form of applied science, using scientific knowledge and methods to create practical solutions, inventions, and systems. Though some argue technology also drives basic science, blurring the line between them. Applied science focuses on solving real-world problems, making it the bridge where scientific theory meets tangible technology, like in engineering, medicine, and computer science. I guess you could say, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of situation of, like, what came first, the technology or the science? You could argue it's a kind of, you could argue that technology and science go hand in hand with each other and are related. And yeah, anyway, what's that? You look like an extra henchman in a B movie, or really, is that supposed to be a compliment or not? That's actually a really good question, to be honest. Yeah. No, understanding of quantum tunneling is necessary for the development of touch screens, for example. That's what I was saying about the understanding of science leading to technological advancements. Well, you would think even things like the discovery of fire, you could argue that was like the most primitive technology that we could have, is being able to create fire, or like basic tools like knives and stuff like that, weapons, that sort of stuff, that you could say, well, we have an idea and then you create it, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, we didn't create fire. Well, we didn't create it, but like we discovered it. You could say it was a technological advancement that we discovered fire, but we discovered it through the scientific method of observation and experimentation, to be able to repeat that process and see that it happens time and time again by we didn't create the wheel either, but we replicate things, don't we? We see things in nature, and then we through the scientific method replicate. We discovered a way to produce fire on demand. That's what I mean. You could argue the scientific and technological development is that we were able to produce fire on demand, like instead of it just being a natural occurrence of fire. But we're getting all pedantic now. What's going on? It's like, yeah, I don't know. Do we really need to be arguing about all this stuff? That's the application of the understanding of fire. Yeah, I agree. I've got a question for you guys. Is water wet? Because I remember someone was saying this a while ago, and you might be like, oh, of course it is. But there's actually a debate on that, actually. Is water wet? Philosophy is always pedantic. Yeah, yeah.
How long have I been streaming? It says here 2.5 hours. Yes, unless it's a single water molecule. Yeah, because some argue that a single water molecule is not wet because what they say is that water makes things wet but isn't wet itself. Now, some might say that water. It's a bit of a mind fuck, but yeah, no, because it's H1, 2 hydrogen in this. What you mean? As in, like, artificial fire. You say, like, why do we need that? Is organic fire not good enough? What do you mean? As in creating fire, there's certain instances where, for example, to keep you warm or whatever, like in a cold environment, and you would just it started off with rubbing two sticks together, and it would just be done through, trial and error. A lot of the time would be how you discover a lot of science, is just through trying different things and seeing what works. And sometimes things happen by accident, but it's the whole thing of being able to repeat that process and trying it again, like, oh, is this what led to this fire? And can I repeat that? And that's the scientific method. So anyway, what's that? We invented science and technology. It's our human language. We made it what it is. OMG, I can't explain properly. I like that. Philosophical debate is always pedantic. I was just reading that, wasn't I? Hello, Zolu. I'm not trans now. Trans is... So you're saying it's illogical. Sorry. Well, we had someone who was trans the other day, but I respect if people want to identify that way, then that's up to them. If that makes you feel better, then I'm not gonna argue with that. But I was talking the other night about how there's things like puberty blockers, and I don't particularly agree with things like that. But yeah. Hello, Alma. How you doing? Are you Samoan born in New Zealand? All right. Yeah, good afternoon, Tiger. Hello, Martinel, good to see you. Good luck with that. You really need a what? I need a what, sorry? Anyway, how we doing, people? Yes, but don't change definitions. Yeah, this is what I mean about what is a man and a woman sort of thing. It's like, because to me, like, there's a biological difference, and there always will be. That's the thing, is that what people will argue over. Again, this is where it gets down to being semantic, and yeah. But I think if you want to remember forever, then I think some scientific research like Newton is best way, right? Wetness refers to the interaction between a liquid and a solid surface. Then water is on wet. What do you mean is on wet? What are you saying? Was that a typo or something? Hello, Ariane Jane. What are you saying? Block. Alfie says, I think you can draw a distinction between biological sex and gender as like a sociological concept. But why call them the same thing? That's the thing. Like, why are they, confusing the two things together? So that's the thing, is like, there's the argument about it. Hello, Kurdsel. Because at one time, like, if somebody wanted, it was acting like, you had, like, say, tomboys and stuff like that, who was a woman who was like a guy, but they still accepted themselves as biologically a woman, but they would kind of, sort of like present themselves more in a sort of boyish sort of way, if you get me. But they wouldn't call themselves a boy, though. I don't know. XY chromosome. Yeah, I've heard about the hermaphrodites and stuff, with quite a rare phenomenon, but it can happen, and that's an example of where you can be other than just male and female, like the kind of non-binary sort of thing. Screw says, yes, the issue is it's a drive if identity. What do you mean? You're saying it's a type of identity? Yeah, I guess it's kind of semantic distinction. Yeah. I think that's, again, it comes down to pedantics again, and like we were talking about with technology and science, and it's like, I think it's almost like you could argue about the elites and stuff. It's almost like they want us to argue about this stuff that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, is they're having us argue about semantic, pedantic type of things, really. About the technicalities of things instead of focusing on the bigger picture of, what's going on in the world. So you could argue it's some kind of conspiracy, another conspiracy. I don't know. I put ASD as an identity driver. I don't care for defining oneself via gender type stuff. That's just me, though. I suppose. Yeah. Yes. I mean, would you tell everybody that you have ASD or something? Some people will just have it very open, they'll have it on their bio, they'll talk about it frequently. Do you think that's a bit kind of much or something, or what are your thoughts on that? Russian bots makers argue over, do you think it's Russian? I don't know, it's all a distraction tactic or something. Oh, goodness. Yeah, was everybody all right then? If anybody's new here, please subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I know it's Russian, bro. This is confirmed. Really? How would you know that? How do you know there's Russians in here right now or something? Why is it that they're calling me Russian? That's the thing. They're saying that I look Russian. What if they're actually Russian? I don't know. How about that, eh? That the people that are saying that I look Slavic, what if they're actually Russian themselves? That'd be a real plot twist, wouldn't it? MI5 traced the IP of the accounts. Oh, really? Scooter says, bro, I ain't Russian. Yeah, you remind me of Scooter, the, Scooter Logical song, whatever it was called. Yeah. Alex says, I think it shows society has come a long way if we can talk about these things openly. Yeah, I suppose, really. Yeah. Yeah, it's some call it Overton window and all that, and we love Scooter. Oh, cool. Yeah, I never really got into that, but yeah. Anyway, so what we're saying. Yeah, some say the Overton window has shifted, what's acceptable things to talk about. Some people would have seen certain things as taboo or something, but I don't know. This wouldn't have even been a debate 20 to 30 years ago. You would have been sent to the funny farm if you said you identified as something else other than male or female. Well, there's that, I suppose, but I don't know. You could argue that in some ways it could be not a good thing if people are just going along with kind of, somebody's kind of gender I mean, as in that's what some people would say, that, we shouldn't be going along with it, or is it something what's a fetish? Hang on. I mean, I understand, people have their own kind of, they need to identify that way or whatever, but if it's going to help their mental health, then I'm all down for that. It's just, yeah, because I'm an advocate on mental health and stuff, so it's if you're gonna feel better if you do all that, then go ahead. But I don't really agree with it. I've heard that for example, some of these reassignments happening on NHS or something, should they really be, done that on the NHS, do you think? For example, trans have different neuroanatomy. I mean, what you mean? I don't get the stress on I identify as. I think some people are just trans, not that they identify as anything. What do you mean? But you could argue still on a fundamental level, they are still biologically the sex that they are born with. You can talk about gender and what that means or whatever, but I mean, everybody has different neural anatomy, you could argue it to some degree, but I don't know. where do we draw the line with this stuff is what I would say. Because some might say about, like, some people are born homosexual, for example, and you could say that they have a different, because I was saying that in some cases the people who, you know, I was looking into this, apparently, like, because it happens where in some cases people who identified as trans actually had internalized homophobia, and then once they come to terms with that and kind of that they actually felt like they didn't need to any longer be the other gender or something, and that they could just kind of live as a homosexual or something. So could it be in some cases that they are actually just homosexual men? I'm not saying that it's all the time. When I was 10-year-old, if I was told I was going to be a girl or could be, I would have believed it as you do as an. This is the thing where it can be, you know, at an impressionable age. Yeah, that's what I agree, Ben Berry. Yeah, it's like there's a line that I think should not be crossed. I don't IPB, like, yeah, where it's like we shouldn't be, you know, like, because it's like children are at an impressionable age and they can get quite easily caught up in trends and things like that, and they'll see all this stuff on social media, they'll see it around them in the schools teaching this stuff. Could that have an effect on people's perceived gender? And then the arguments and, like, things like puberty blockers and stuff like that, is that really ethical? Because I was saying, well, there's still things that we don't fully understand on these sort of things, and like what the long-term effects of it could be, and some of the effects might not be fully reversible, but yet they have to wait until either 16 or in some countries 18 till they're able to consent, and they'll say, well, they have to wait till that age because of it could have life-changing consequences. But could the same not be said for these, you know, these things that like the puberty blockers, that we don't know the long-term consequences? There's still limited data on that. Isn't that just as risky to have them do things like that then? Hello, Zane. Oh, here we go. This is why the world has gone mad, because people can identify as anything they want to be. The fact that these people have been given a platform is disgusting. I mean, I think that, like I say, if you're an adult, then, you know, I respect that people can identify as whatever they want. It's just that a lot of kids are going to get exposed to a lot of this stuff, and it could confuse them. I don't know. Would need 100 times better diagnostics before medicating children. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying about. That's the problem, is where we don't know a lot of the long-term effects. Yeah. But yeah, I hope everyone's well. Hello, Vanon Mars. You can identify as whatever you want, doesn't mean that makes it objective reality. Yeah, and then you could argue about, you know, trans, different neural chemistry or something like that. And now, again, this is where it comes down to a philosophical question of what is a man or what is a woman, and that could be like, you know, something to kind of like, because I remember I think it was Matt Walsh, whoever that I think, wasn't that a book that he made or something? And ultimately, what is a man or a woman then? Because that is where the this pedantics of it is, isn't it? And like Vernon Morris says that's bollocks. You're on about different neurochemistry or something. So is it reduced to, say, like a, you know, a DNA level of like what is a man or a woman? Being non-binary makes more sense to me. What do you mean? Alfie says men should be men in this sentence. The word men is being used in two different ways. Why should it be being used in two different ways, though? Isn't that a bit of a, you know, why would you use the same two words in two different, I don't know, it's like, that's where it all gets all confusing and kind of like, why say that someone's a biological man and they, it identifies as a woman? Like, is that not a contradiction of terms? Like, I don't know. A woman is whoever says they're a woman. Anyone can be a woman. Not everyone can be a strong man. Well, I don't know. Were and were, those are two different words. I mean, it's just like to use the same words in a sort of like similar context, but they mean different things. It's all a bit of a, why do we need to use the same word, is what I'm saying. Is there not like a, because it's like, for example, using the word feminine or masculine or something might be a more kind of, well, that's a kind of, I guess that's debatable, but like, what even that means in this day and age. But I'm just saying, like, I know some words have multiple definitions, but to use the same word in the same kind of, why does it mean biological sex and a, something of a social construct? Like, people have decided that they're a woman because they like to wear a dress or something like that. I don't know. This is what's that? Yeah, fair point. It's kind of dumb. Yeah, I don't know. It's just sometimes language is sloppy and not well organized. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that is a kind of problem with the English language, and I guess ultimately a lot of this comes down to that, and people kind of mixing things. It's just like, for example, you had people like taking part in sports when they identified as the other gender, but it's like there should be the distinction there, and make sure it's a clear distinction. Otherwise, it's kind of like blurring the lines, and it's kind of, you know what I mean? I already said it, but if gender and sex are separate things, why would you need to change your sex to reaffirm your gender? Yeah, that's the kind of confusing thing of like, if they don't really identify with, yeah, it's like what you were saying, like, for example, chopping their bits off to reaffirm their gender, if it's nothing to do with biological sex. It is a bit of a confusing one, really, isn't it? But not everyone does it. Some people don't do the bottom surgery and all that, but it used to be clear is to me, well, yeah, why did they have to kind of like make it all confusing and blurry and all that? And yeah, it's not that complicated, or what's not that complicated? Chromosomes are the same, aren't they? Well, this is the thing. It's like, there's certain things that are like kind of, anyway. Now, the only way I would say that it would be fair for them to actually like take part with other women, if they're a man, for example, this is how I see it, right? If they want to take part with other women, there should be some kind of, what they call it, like handicap, where they have to kind of start a little bit later. For example, because even if they have the same hormones as a woman, they still have a male like body structure. So yeah, so that's basically like you could argue that they should still have some kind of handicap in that race if they're running marathon, for example, because like, yes, it's, you could argue that. So anyway, Srini Basan Patti says, yeah, it's correct. So yeah, I think it just comes down to that. Yeah, the English language can be a very confusing and, yeah, like contradictory. Like sometimes even like with pronunciations of words, like why is there's a place near London called Reading, but yet there's a thing that's spelt the same called reading, like reading a book. Why are they pronounced differently? Why is it not called reading? It's like, it's all really confusing, isn't it? You know? Yeah, hello QWERTY, how you doing? What if the English language is the limitation? Ever thought of that? Yeah, there's actually a thing called quantum syntax grammar, which is a more kind of, let's have a look. I mean, it's just something that someone was telling me about before, and how it's a form of grammar that is you cannot misconstrue it. And yeah, hello James, how you doing? Hope you're well. Welcome in here, everybody. So yeah, basically it's saying here about the proposed system aiming to use quantum principles for clearer, less ambiguous communication, treating language as energy, and applying precise rules to eliminate confusion, especially in legal or technical contexts. Its distinction from mainstream linguistics, but involves concepts like syntax, sentence structure, and parsing, analyzing structure, but reinterprets them through a quantum lens, suggesting words have quantum mathematical codes that enable rapid meaning comprehension. Does that make any sense to anybody? Yeah, hi James. Oh, thank you. Hello AK. What's JD? I don't know who JD is. Here's a good one. The dictionary defines itself. If you look up the definition of a word, then look up all the words in the definition and all the words in all of those definitions, you just go in a right. Okay, yeah, what's that? Go in a big circle. Yeah, I get that. JD is next in line for the throne. All right, okay. All right, okay. Trump's side bits. All right, okay. That makes me think of JD Sports, you know, the Chav Paradise. You know what I mean? JD Sports, mate. Oh yeah, you take care. I'll fee you off now. I take care. Have a great day. Oh yeah, South Park. South Park. Well, however it is. What is it? Welcome to South Park. With like the what is it? The accent that he has. The what's he called? Eric Cartman. However, it has a funny kind of way of pronouncing things, doesn't he? If you ever noticed. Anyway, hope you're all well, people. Yeah. We can do this the hard way or the easy way. What's that? Is that some reference? What's the new ones? I've seen bits like where they were taking the piss out of the whole trans thing with the man who identifies as a woman, like beating all the female opponents in a lifting contest or whatever. It's quite funny. I saw one on what was it? The death of obesity. That was quite funny when they were like, yeah, because it was all about like the Ozempic thing, you know. It's just, I feel like the problem with those things is, like, I would argue, is that it's like a sort of people wanting quick fixes, and then like they don't want to do it the hard way. They don't want to do diet and exercise and just have to kind of be disciplined. They want to take something that will just crush their appetite and then just kind of like, oh well, you know, it's just so easy now. It's like, I don't know. That's how I see it. Old ones are best though, right? I remember there was like I think I saw a Christmas episode or something, and yeah, they take the piss out of everything. That's the good thing, is that, yeah, I'm surprised that they can still get away with a lot of it though. I've seen South Park Fireside Chats. I don't think so. I like the one. What is it? The when Randy goes on Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, that one's quite funny, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. But I bet they wouldn't get away with that now, would they? A lot of them. I don't think they get away with that episode now. It's a wonder it hasn't been like banned or something. But yeah, yeah. Randy's just like a really just dysfunctional and yeah. But they always have these like. Have you ever noticed? They always have the dysfunctional father who with the woman who's some. I remember someone had a theory that why is it that all these cartoons like Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, they all seem to have like a dysfunctional dad, like it's some kind of way to try and kind of like make men look bad or something. It was what some people were saying. I don't know if it's that deep. I mean, it's just I don't know, like. But it does kind of like portray like the dad as like the kind of dysfunctional one. The dad's supposed to be the one to kind of like be like the glue that holds the family together kind of thing. They're supposed to be like you know what I mean. They're supposed to be functional. They're supposed to be able to take charge of things, to be the leader of I don't know, but but I guess that you could say it's just for comedy and it's. But what do you guys think? Is there any? To that. It's the algorithm that fits best. It portrays an average family, says Alex. I don't know. But it's always seemed to be portraying the dad as the more dysfunctional one or something. Hello, El Picasso. How you doing? Average family, the mum does it all. I mean, is that really true though? I mean, because I've heard a lot of cases. There's a lot of deadbeat mums out there, the ones who just kind of neglect their children and stuff, In fact, I think I found that, let's see, I'm sure I saw something about, that is actually, if I remember that, that happens quite often. Sorry, what you're saying, healthy me. Screw says they're probably more deadbeat dads. Or what would you say? Would you reckon there's more deadbeat dads, or I don't know? Let's see what this on this thing, right? Let's look at the actual statistics on it. Well, definitive numbers vary. Data suggests that there are numerically more absent fathers than absent mothers, but a larger percentage of children live with their mother without the father, and fathers often receive less child support, though custodial parents, mostly moms, generally receive less full payment than custodial fathers. The term deadbeat is complex, but data shows custodial parents, predominantly mothers, struggle to receive full child support payments, while absent fathers are a significant group, with millions having no contact or paying nothing for all their kids. So I'm talking about when I don't know like how it goes really, but it's a nuclear family, right? So I don't. Let's have a look at like in that situation. Is there any actual data on that though, in terms of who's more likely to be holding the family together? Because I don't know. Like you would think that it's supposed to be the dad, right? That's supposed to be the one that is supposed to be the leader and the. I'm not saying that this to be like sexist or anything. It's just like I don't know. That's not supposed to be. I don't think that. I don't know. That's just. I guess a lot of guys just don't really kind of, especially a lot of modern men, are not really, really doing what they're supposed to be doing when it comes to father duties and stuff. A lot of them are quite irresponsible. So maybe it is the average family, I guess, like an exaggerated form of it though. I guess that's comedy, they exaggerate stereotypes and stuff.
The cooking skills are getting worse by the minute. What's this? Women watch more TV than men, do less car repairs, cut less grass in general. They know a lot less. Well, that is obviously a general thing, but I would say that you have a point, but like, yeah, I guess you could say, well, yeah, men are like kind of like oftentimes are expected to do a lot. Like they're expected to, be the breadwinner, but also expected to, kind of do the, emotional labor and all this other stuff. And like, you know what I mean? It seems like a lot of times these days, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, everyone's going to have their own opinions on this, but yeah. Marry better men and you won't think that. Well, you could say is that what you're saying is that in some cases women pick the wrong guys. Oftentimes they pick the guy based on, because she's, it might be like a lust thing at first, that she sees him as like, oh, he's very handsome or whatever, or he's like dark and mysterious and all that kind of crap, and then she ends up getting played, and then she has a kid with him, and then he's absent or something, and then yeah, I suppose that happens a lot of cases where they pick the wrong ones, and then so yeah, I don't know. It's happens a lot that way. I understand that some people, they find it hard to control their their natural instincts, but I think we should learn to be able to control these things more, and you know and I think it's also important to have somebody you trust. You could argue in some cases it's because of a lack of a father figure in some cases that led to that, you could argue, which just perpetuates the problems, that lack of a strong father who would probably have, like vet their potential partner and be like, this guy seems to have red flags about him. Because oftentimes, if they have a good father, they would be able to kind of sniff any of that out and stuff. But oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. You can't really say that anymore, really, can you, Emily? Yeah. Lucky 28 years. What, you're 28 years old, you mean? Or hello, Aminal Rabbi. What's that? Beta alpha might be an old basic classification system. However, well, yeah, it's like a kind of just a general kind of descriptor, I guess, of like dynamics, I guess, in terms of who's more of a leader versus a follower. You would think of like alphas as the leaders, the pioneers, the people who the trendsetters, rather than you got the betas who are the followers, the submissive, and that take orders. Like, because this is a problem I have with, say, like the military, where it seems to teach guys to become submissive and just take orders without question, basically. Because I'm sure someone was in my chat the other day who said they had to like leave because they didn't agree with doing something. They dropped out of the army because they're like, yeah, fuck this, I ain't doing this. I think betas are more dangerous, really. Why do you say that? Dangerous in what way? I think it's important to have a balance of like, you want to be, as a guy, I believe you want to be kind of like assertive and like have these masculine traits, but also be someone with compassion and empathy as well. So anyway, and then for women is to be nurturing and kind and whatever. I mean, I'm not saying men can't be kind, but you know what I mean, like as in have these kind of things of nurturing and like all that kind of stuff, but also you need to also be independent, as far as like you should not be codependent in a relationship. Emily says, yeah, that's right. Look up Elon and all tech billionaires being beta. Do you reckon they're beta? So how are they beta? Wasn't like, what was it? I remember, didn't like Elon, like, didn't he get like Grimes pregnant or something? Remember Grimes, this singer? I know that he was in a relationship with her, wasn't he? I don't know if, did he get married to her? I can't remember if he got married or if it was just his girlfriend or something, but there was like Elon Musk, like Grimes or something, and it was, yeah, it was an on and off relationship or something apparently, and they apparently had 3 children together. I mean, what's this? Exodark Sideral Techno Mechanicus. Is that really the actual names that they gave their children? What the actual fuck? An Amber Heard. What about Amber Heard? Hang on. If they were, what, he's actually been in a relationship with her? If they were alpha, they wouldn't be computer nerds just saying. I mean, could you say that being a computer nerd, how is being a computer nerd? I mean, alpha or beta, I would say. I don't know. They cooked. To me, an alpha is someone that doesn't give a fuck about what anybody thinks about them. So if they care about what people think about them, then I would say that they're beta. I don't know. What do you do for a living? I do your mama. Beta are more smart with tactics. Alpha is more brawn. I mean, like, so isn't it then good to have some elements of beta? Isn't it good to be smart with tactics? You know? I would think so, right? Because then what you're saying is maybe beta is not all bad then. Maybe we're supposed to be both. Maybe, I don't know. If you're 100% alpha, then you're kind of, yeah. Yes, she has, and it's rumored her baby she has is actually Elon's. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Aurora Rose, hi, how you doing? Silent Stray, how you doing? Shouldn't be talking about alpha and beta stuff. I'll talk about whatever I want, you know? I mean, if you don't agree with it, whatever, you know, then that's just tough, isn't it? Society needs both, but in general, alphas don't work well in nerdy environments. Right. Yeah, you tend to find a lot of the nerdy types do tend to be quite sort of like, you know, if I had like, yeah, do the soy face, whatever, you know, the soy boy thing, you know, I tend to find a lot of them are soy boys and kind of, maybe it's just, I think a lot of it could be mainly just that like men who are alphas, they feel like they probably don't really need to kind of go down that, whereas, I don't know, like for example, like video games might be seen as a more beta hobby or something because it's their way of escapism or something like that, or what's this? Hello, Syed Ismail. Hi, love the hustle you're doing. I provide different services. Okay, thank you. El Picasso says exactly. So a lot of it's just that, yeah, like these, like chads and whatever, they might not be so. Maybe that explains why I just kind of grew out of gaming. I don't know. Thinking about it, I mean, I could play them. It's just I wouldn't get so hooked probably again. I don't know. As I started to take more care of myself, seemed as though I was less interested in these quote unquote beta hobbies, like video games, for example. I used to play them a lot as a kid. I was very awkward, and I still am to some degree, but you know, I guess I don't know if this is a beta hobby, but I don't really care what people think. But if I just play this and then Now you could say that doing magic tricks could be seen as a bit of a stereotypically kind of like an autistic kind of thing. I don't know, doing stuff like that. But I don't know. It's all, you could say it's all a social construct anyway. This whole idea of beta and alpha. I don't know. Look at Twilight dude, the no shirt guy. What was he called? Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about, but that's like, you know, kind of the thing is, it's like a lot of females would like find him like really attractive, but yet they'll say that they're attracted to dad bods. And this is where I don't quite understand, because that's the kind of guy that they're saying has a dad bod or something, probably. That's how delusional a lot of it is, where they'll say that, you know, Henry Cavill has a dad bod, or, you know, something like that, where it's like, well, do they know what an actual dad bod is or something, or is it just a programmed thing of like, oh, because they want to sound politically correct or something? They're like, oh, I'm not shallow, I'm not interested, but yet, how come it is that usually, like, for example, things like, you got things like, you know, like Magic Mike and stuff like that, and there always tend to be some guys that are in pretty good shape. I'm not saying you have to be like extreme with that, but healthy and natural should be considered as attractive, but people want artificial. Yeah, I think that's the problem, where people like doing all these like lip fillers and, you know, like doing all these fake things to their bodies, which is just, you know, it's not ideal, really, is it? Like even things like Botox and stuff like that, I've heard that can have some negative things in the long run. It's just, yeah, I don't know why women would want to have fake lips. They just look like hot dogs or something, you know? Hot dogs on their lips. Like, it's like when they get like, I've heard they're getting buccal fat surgery and stuff, but isn't it a good thing to want to keep that fat in their face, because it actually gives them that kind of youthful look, as opposed to like looking either old or like they're on some crack or something, you know? Because you see some of them really look like sunken in, and it's like, what the fuck? Because they've been told that this high cheekbones look is attractive, but yet I think if you actually, you know, asked most guys, they'll be like, nah, that is not attractive. They looked better with the, yeah. I don't understand why they want to get rid of that. I think if I remember, was that Clavicular? Have you seen Clavicular? Is that Scoot, have you seen that guy called Clavicular, the Lux Maxer guy, right? And he had some girl at his place, and he was injecting her with something that apparently dissolves the fat in her face. I'm like, why would you do that? I don't understand it. Isn't it better to have that on especially for a woman? I think guys probably suit a leaner looking face better, but a woman, I don't understand why they would want to get rid of that natural. Yeah, that guy is insane. Yeah, it's like, yeah, he was talking about getting leg lengthening surgery. I don't know if he was trolling about that, because why would he want to do that? He's 6'2". He's you know, if he actually got any taller, it would just, like, his legs would probably look like disproportionately long. Like, I've seen this videos of people doing leg lengthening surgery. It looks ridiculous. Like, they look like they're daddy long legs or something, you know? Well, you're 7 foot, really? Is that for real? But as in, like, the proportions look off. They actually look better before. So they must have some really, really deep insecurities or something if they feel the need to do that kind of stuff. They don't get rid of those because naturally it makes their voices sound nice. What's that? What makes their voices sound nice? What are you talking about? But it's just, why would you want to like cripple yourself in order to, yeah, what's this? Do you know how to read a tape measure? I'm 11 foot, still feel short. I'm at 6'4". Someone who works on their appearance to that point are surely masking what's inside. Yeah, exactly. Because didn't he say that he's on the autism spectrum? And I'm thinking, wouldn't it not be better to try and work on these insecurities and stuff like that? but it seems to be a way to try and avoid like the shadow work or whatever else that you need to do to try and, to improve your confidence and stuff. Yeah, I am a tall guy. Like, I'll show you. Look at the fucking door. The door is at like what? Look, I can barely even look. Look at my fucking height. You can see I'm tall. That proves that I'm a tall guy. Like, I'm only like, I don't know how tall. It's probably 6'6". I'm about, nearly 2 inches off the top of the, I remember I got measured when I was about 14, 15, something like that, 16. I was about 194 centimeters, so yeah. Anyway, no, I don't think, I mean, anyone would have tiny door frames, but yeah. My nose hits the top of the door. Oh, really? That is, yeah. The thing is, right, being tall isn't necessarily, everything really, is it? It's like, and it's also has its drawbacks as well. And I was talking about this the other day about how being tall, for example, you're going to have to eat a lot more food to want to look big. Like, being tall, if you want to get massive and you want to get big muscles, you might be having to eat 5,000 calories a day or something like that. Whereas, if you're a short guy and just to look pretty big, like, you can probably get away with like 3,000 calories a day, if that. So that's one of the downsides. Another downside is you're going to have a lot more difficult when it comes to body weight exercises and getting good with them because of your extra limb lengths and stuff. So that's where it becomes more of a disadvantage. So yeah, I currently have vertical. Being tall really does not help. Are you saying because of like the balance being, can like throw off your balance and it can feel like, make you feel a bit more like you're gonna fall or something? Is that what you mean? Do you? Nah. Okay, here we go. We're getting the trolls and stuff, but yeah, I eat 500 calories a day 5 times. That's 2,500 calories then, isn't it? So hang on. So how tall are you say? El Picasso. Yeah, I hope you're all having a good day, people. Yeah, we're almost on 1,000 views. We're on 943 views on this live. Yeah, 5'11", right, and El Picasso's 5'8". Yeah, so you're a bit on the shorter side, so that would make sense. But yeah. But why do I look short? A lot of people say I look tall, actually, but I don't know. Yes, I feel like I'm 20 pints in, but have a lot further to fall when I'm stood up straight. Yeah. Well, that's the thing they say, that the taller you are, the harder you fall. Yeah. So you have to be really careful, don't you? Your balance is probably going to be weaker, and if you do fall, the fall's going to be harder. Tall people are slower. What do you mean? It depends on what you're talking about. Some of the fastest sprinters are tall. What do you mean? Tall people are slower. Have you got any thing to back that up? I mean, it depends. Are you talking about in terms of what's that technical? Tall people just look slower. What do you mean? Are you talking about in terms of in a fight or something where they would throw slower punches or something, or I would argue that they would probably have faster punches due to the longer limbs or something. Hungry Cannon, hello, how you doing? Well, they run faster but are slower in a fight. Is that true though? Let's have a look at what it is. But some argue a taller person would generally win in a street fight or something. Anyway, so it says here that not necessarily, while taller people can be slower due to longer levers and more mass to move, height doesn't dictate speed, as skill, training, fast twitch fight muscles, genetics, and weight play bigger roles, with shorter fighters often relying on agility and tall fighters on reach, making it a balanced, complex matchup. So, yeah, you would hit harder if you're taller, I'm guessing. So that's what the argument. And also you're able to hit at a distance. So if you've got like a shorter person coming up, taller people are able to like use the leverage of distance and being able to kind of strike you, and then they wouldn't have as much of a chance to hit you because of that. So it all depends. There is advantages and disadvantages to both. But yeah. So it's one of those things really, but yeah. I was saying about how it takes more energy to accelerate, so you know, with the having longer arms and stuff. But for example, on a rowing machine, this is an example where you can have more power as a taller guy. So you would create more force with the longer limbs. Generally, the best rowers are going to have the longer limbs as they're able to generate more force. So even if they are slightly slower, the force that they generate would probably more than make up for that, really. A lot of it is a mind game too. Well, yeah, there is a lot of that as well in terms of like who's gonna hit when and trying to kind of, you know, judge the other person and when they're going to like strike and kind of where they're gonna strike and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. But in terms of like a street fight, usually over very quickly, because it's not about like in a boxing match where you're on the thing for like minutes. And also the cardio is something that you need to work on if you're doing, say, like all these different rounds and stuff. You need to have good endurance as well as explosiveness. So you need to have, so looking into this thing on how you need to have all three energy systems optimized. So you need to have the ATP-PC system, which is the fastest twitch fibers with the like explosive power, which you would have in say like 100-meter sprint. Then you've got the glycolytic system, which is say like, for example, 400, 800 meters, that sort of where it's, for example, you have that kind of more sustained power. And then you've got the other system, which is the aerobic system, which is the like the endurance system, which is the slow twitch fibers, which are kind of responsible for like more kind of sustained output, basically, of let's get Greenland. So you have to have a certain level of cardiovascular health in order to be good, I would say, for that. Yes, I must admit, if I was in a fight today, it wouldn't go well. I don't have energy anymore. I'd probably get knocked out. Yeah, so you could have some like big guy who's like overweight, but if he hasn't actually done any exercise and he's not really built up his cardiovascular system, a skinny guy who's been, who's fit, who has good cardio, could probably just knock him out. In fact, he could probably, every time he hits, he could probably like run back and the person would not even catch him. He could just keep on jabbing the guy, and like, because the guy doesn't have the energy to be able to even like, be on the offensive and try to get any jabs in, he would just probably get like knocked down like almost immediately. Because that's the short guy could just keep on like backing off and then just throw a jab, and the guy just wouldn't be able to have any time to even react, basically. So yeah. Another life would be cool to box. Why? What's that? I'm just always feeling charged up in the shoulders and shit. Like, what do you mean charged up in the shoulder? You're on about like you get pain in your shoulders or something? wrestler wins most of the time in a street fight, though. I guess if they're like big and strong, and they have what I'm saying is in terms of like if they have everything kind of, if they have a good balance of power and and a level of cardiovascular output, like maximum output. But I suppose they wouldn't necessarily need sustained output in the context of a street fight, because usually it would be over quite quickly. So some argue that whether like added body fat is better for a fight. What do you think about that? Or is being more lean and muscular better in terms of like, is it better to have low body fat or high body fat? Some argue for both. I'm just wondering what you think would win in it, say like a street fight. Because you could argue, well, the person who's bigger and more bulky would have a advantage in terms of of like more powerful punches, whereas the one who's leaner would probably have faster punches that would hit harder potentially. That's what I remember. I was watching a video on that and who would win basically. But being punched in fat hurts. You're on about by a fat person, you're saying? Because let's say both guys have the same amount of muscle and then one of them has more body fat. Who's going to win? But let's say, for example, that all else was equal. Who would win? Who would win? They both have the same amount of muscle, but one has significantly more body fat, and they have this about the same genetics. Hypothetical situation. Who would win in a street fight context? I think the muscle, as it's harder, it wouldn't hurt as much. Yeah, but I'm talking like, but you could argue that body fat is cushioning and would act as a cushion if they had still some muscle underneath it or something. I don't know, and then it was, I don't know what you would say. Fat doesn't block hits. What do you mean they don't block hits or something? Hang on. Not talking about strength. When a wrestler, regardless of size, takes down a striker, it takes away the striker's strength. Even Crawford agree about what you mean. It really doesn't work like that. It's about emotion, skill, agility, stamina, many factors at play at the same time. What I'm saying is if every single factor was about equal, now you could argue that's almost impossible to account for, but I was just talking about a hypothetical scenario. But yeah, mental is like a big part of it, because you can get some like really like skinny guy who has the mental, like they have the confidence and the whereas it's like just whereas the other side they see that and then they just like back off or something. Let's say I guess it also depends on who starts it. Who is the one that starts the fight, and is that person like quite, what's the word? Like threatening, whatever it is. Like, are they quite I'm trying to think of the word. Are they a kind of person who is making them scared or something? That sort of thing, because it's like, oh shit, this person really, is serious, and it's like, I better back off. I don't think I can, if they don't have the confidence, then I don't think I can take on this guy, sort of thing. If you ever watched MMA, you would most of the time see wrestlers winning instead of a striker. I mean, I suppose like you're talking like more about like just kind of somebody who can like, MMA looks hardcore. I suppose like you're talking like wrestling is more about like being thrown to the ground or something. So in that context, if say two people with equal amount of muscle, one of them being more bulkier, shall we say, than the other, who would win? All things being equal. But if you are wrestling on the street, you'll get kicked in your face repeatedly. Yeah, I don't know. Muay Thai fighters' kicks are very satisfying to watch. I've heard they're very like brutal, like just they have to like condition shins to take a lot of impact and stuff for that. So yeah, I bet it's pretty brutal, that stuff. Not sure I'd really want to get involved in that, but you know, because people in a street fight don't fight fair. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the thing, is that it's dirty fighting, isn't it? Whereas in a controlled situation, like on a ring, then there's certain rules that you have to abide by. Street fights really 1v1. Yeah, there is that as well. It's more about, yeah, who you've got, what kind of backup you've got, and yeah. Craig says, when will you clean up your facial hair? When will you just kind of mind your own business? You know? Hello, Mobara Hussein. How are you doing today? Hope all is well. Welcome in here. So there's a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of variables, I guess, is what we've kind of, yeah, especially down here with the Samoans. You're on about like it's written about it really being 1v1, yeah. There's a lot of hypotheticals that would probably outweigh any sort of like thing to do with body composition, what you're saying, more down to things like skill, also what kind of, yeah, like, you know, like your tribe and whatever, if they're able to back you up. And so I guess it would be, a lot of it would be down to like almost like a popularity contest in a sense then, of who's got the most people to like back them up or something. I don't know. In a way, I don't know. It's a lot of variables basically. So yeah. What skill versus what's that equals blood sport. All right. How you doing, Elliot? Anyway, welcome to my live. You'll be getting off here in a sec. My dad's, I think, is supposed to be coming soon. So yeah. If you have no training, just don't fight. Well, yeah, that's it, you know. You don't, it's like some people think that just because they're a bodybuilder, that means that they can win fights. Have you seen Bradley Martin? Because it's a bit of like a, you know, delusional, to say the least, isn't it? If you think that just because you got all this mass on you that you can win against a smaller opponent, it doesn't work like that, you know. If they have far more skill than you, then that's going to outweigh any size. And then the thing is, some of these people, if they've not got good cardio, then they're going to have slow punches. They're not going to have that explosive power and stamina to be able to, yeah. But brain needs time to plan. Sword is ready to go. Well, yeah, there's a lot of it's down to like, yeah, like the brain. Things like reaction times and stuff like that. Like if you, things like proprioception as well. Hello, Jimmy. How you doing? So accuracy is important, because you could have someone who's massive, but they're really inaccurate with their jabs and stuff. Hello, Pixel Hustler. How you doing? Hope you're well. Yeah. Not too bad, thank you. How you doing? You'll have to get off in a sec, but I think my dad will be here soon. But let's just check, see if he's turned up, because he said he would be here about 2:30. So no, he's not here just yet. So, hi, welcome back, Carol. Oh yeah, internet's a bit annoying sometimes, isn't it? Yeah, thank you for the 40 likes, everybody. Yeah, it's been interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. What's this? Silent Stray says, "How are lasers more dangerous than guns?" I don't know who said anything about lasers. Are you off out? No, I'm not off out when my dad is just coming round to see me, and then I'll be going out later and probably get some shopping. I might actually go to the gym later. But yeah, Scooter says me. What's that? You said that. So in what context are we talking here? NGL guns are old AF. Lasers are better in every way. Really? Why is that then? Have a nice time. Thank you, Fernie. The guy with the cat PFP, right? Oh yeah, so Scooter's got the cat. So what's your actual name then? Never gonna give you up. Hello, how you doing? Never gonna give you up. Yeah, hope you're well. If anyone's new here, please subscribe to the channel. That would be really appreciated. Have we got any more questions? What's the views? It's almost on 1,000 views. Let's see. 984. Yeah, 984 views.
Nearly 1,000 views again. Wow, it's yeah. No kickback. What you saying? Tell me a joke or else I'll steal it. How you doing, Mobara? Hope you well. Blink slice if you're being held hostage. I mean, we're blink all the time, don't we? So yeah. Yeah, so what we're saying, so tell me a joke. Okay, two fish were in a tank. One said to the other, "How do I drive this thing?" Yeah. Oh, goodness. What else have we got? Doctor, I feel like a pair of curtains. Doctor replies, "Well, pull yourself together." Knock, knock, who's there? Isabel. Isabel who? Isabel necessary on the bike. Picasso have fun not hurt anyone. Why? What's Picasso saying? What's that? What's the meaning of life in less than 2 sentences? Good question. Is there really a meaning? I don't know. Is there really an life? There's different forms of life. So you got like, I guess you could call it just like, in terms of like an organism, something that has biological processes, like plants are considered as life, animals, bacteria, fungus, they're all considered as a form of life. They reproduce, they do all the, I remember there was this thing called Mrs. Gren that I got taught at school, which is, it has a bunch of things if I remember. Mrs. Gren, let's see if what it was again. Mrs. Gren. So it stands for movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. So that's all the kind of, I guess you could call it like hallmarks of life. Need a morning lay. You mean like you want to go see like a lady of the morning? Well, let be a lady of the night, but it would be a morning lay. Or do you mean lay down? No, not funny. Oh, really? Well, whatever. Oh goodness. Right. If religion is true, then its redemption is supposed, and it's science, then there's no meaning law. Well, I suppose, yeah. I don't know what to make of that, really.
Yeah. We could be going around in circles forever, couldn't we, really? Just like arguing over these sort of things, Yeah, just what's that? No, here we go. Do a backflip, whatever. So So you think there's no, what do you think? I had fun here. Well, it's been good to talk to everybody, hasn't it? Yeah. But we'll be back later as well. I've just been doing a lot of streaming lately, to say the least. Just been trying to get my channel popping up, because the more you put time in, the more you're dedicated to it, then, the more you're going to get that ball rolling and get that, kind of do a backflip. Don't ignore my comments. Yeah, I can't do a backflip. Backflips are hard, aren't they? It's like, it's, some people just like make these things like easy to do, friggin' triple backflips, and it's like some of these people on skateboards. I'm like, wow, you're just in so much awe of what humans can be capable of if they just kind of, dedicate themselves to one thing for their whole life. Like you'll see them doing things like, just like these crazy feats of strength or feats of skill in some way. Like when Tony Hawk did the 900 on a skateboard, and I think someone even did a 1080 since then. You get people pushing the envelope more and more, and just, there's this whole thing of wanting to keep on like trying to push what's humanly possible. Someone running 100 meters in less than 10 seconds, for example, and just, or someone running a mile in under 4 minutes. It's like, these are just like really like, you just be in awe of just like, wow, that is dedication, to like the nth degree. That's like, I can ride a skateboard, but I can't do it without crashing. Yeah, I've done skateboarding before. I was able to ride it a bit, but yeah. So I don't know if someone was saying that about autistic people struggling more with balance, but yeah, maybe it's something that you can train with like exercise by, for example, unilateral exercises are a good one for improving balance. So for example, like balancing on one leg, for example, or things of that kind of, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get going, guys. I need the toilet. So have a great day, everybody. I will be back later. So peace out, everyone. Bye for now.